Okay, it's 6 o'clock, May 19th, 2014. It's time to get this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD started. Mr. Overfelt, it looks like everyone's here. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir, we do.
Let the record show that a quorum of the board members are present, that this meeting's been duly called, and notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This time, if you'd stand for opening ceremonies. First, a moment of silence. Now the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Now that the meeting is open, that brings us to agenda item 4, canvassing of the votes of the regular Board of Trustees election held on May 10th, 2014. Ms. Valdez.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, board members. Ms. Janie Ramon will be here to present the information from our May 10th election, and I will be passing out the folders with the information from that.
Good evening. My name is Janie Ramon. I am the Valverde County Clerk and Elections Administrator in Valverde County. This year, I entered into a contract with the school board to conduct the elections of the May 10th. Once you get your folder here, I will go over the different reports that are in there, and then we'll go over any questions that you might have. We tried very much to stay in line with how you're used to seeing the reports, and so as not to confuse anything. But the software we use, of course, to calculate and tabulate is a little different than what you've used in the past. The first report I was asked to present was regarding the total number of voters that were that had voted at each polling location, and that should be your first report. And that has totals of 646 for City Hall, 328 for the San Felipe Memorial Middle School, and 1,030 for the Del Rio Civic Center. That should give you a total of 2,004, which is the number of voters that you had to come out for your school board election. The next is a summary report, and it includes the positions, and it includes the totals of early voting and election day with numbers of over or under votes. And I don't know if you want me to go through them specifically with each race. I can do that. Can I get an indication of how you want to proceed? I can call them out and just give the totals, or you can read them. They're right in front of you. So
You want to call them out?
I can call them out if.
It's up to you.
Okay. Well, let's just go ahead. You had Dr. Fernando Quis. He received a total of 1,555 votes. 703 of those votes were received in early voting. 852 votes were received in election day. You did have an undervote of 222 in early voting in that race, and 227 on election day. That means that no one marked that particular race. Okay. In place 3, you had Sassy Martinez Lozano, who received a total of 1,191. 568 of those votes came from early voting. 623 came from election day. Mr. David F. Roundtree received a total of 779.
Let's see.
Bless you. Bless you. 350 of those votes were from early voting. 429 were received in election day. On place 4, you had Mr. Antonio Pereira, who received a total of 480 votes. 252 came from early voting. 228 came from election day. Mr. Mesa, Raymond P. Mesa, received a 1,433. He received 645 votes in early voting, 788 on election day voting. And then you have Mr. Roberto Chavira, who received 1,545 votes. 716 of those votes came from early voting. 829 votes came from election day. Any questions so far? Okay, your next report breaks down by precinct what your vote count was. And I don't think I need to review those. It is a precinct by precinct. All your 17 precincts should be here. Excuse me, 14, I believe. Should be 14. And then your next number tells you that the totals that I just read to you, the 747 came from early voting in person. That does not include the mail. That's just persons that actually came here really, and voted early. And if you wanted a breakdown of how those votes came by precincts, that would be the next sheet. You also received votes that were counted from the mail ballots, which we're required to send out in every entity that has an election. So the ballot board met on 2 times during this election. Once on May 10th, in which time they received a total of 185 ballots, and they rejected 12. So 173 of those ballots were counted.
Do we have that, Tim?
No, actually, I was told kind of late that that's what you wanted. I could copy this sheet for you if you like. But a total of 344 ballots were mailed out. Okay, 185 were received by that May 10th date, and 12 were rejected. I just went over those numbers. That's 173. The early ballot board met again on May 16th to take into consideration anything that had been received between the 10th and the final date to receive, which was May 16th. They have until the last time that the mailman puts up mail to still get their ballot in there and have it counted. We received a total of 11 votes. However, the board rejected all 11 because they were received after the deadline. So there were no other votes added. And no out of the country ballots were received, so none were counted. So in a recap, there was a total of 344 sent out, 196 were returned, and 23 ballots were rejected, making it 173 that were counted, which are the ones accounted for on your early voting numbers. Mail ballots are considered early voting. So when you have your totals on your early voting column, it includes the mail. Also, part of what you have there is provisional ballots. We received 4. The voter registration office gets those at the end of election day, and they have 7 days to determine whether or not that voter should have their ballot counted or not, and whether or not they recommend whether we accept, or the ballot board really, accept the ballots or not. The voter registrar in this case recommended no acceptance of all the 4, and the ballot board agreed with that, so no ballots were counted, no provisional ballots were counted. And provisional ballots are mainly the ones where a person went to vote and they didn't have the proper ID, or they didn't present a picture ID. They get 7 days. When they vote provisional, they get 7 days after election day to still go and present a picture ID to the voter registration office in order to have their ballot counted. In this case, no one went and presented their picture ID to have their ballot counted. That is all I have, and I'll try and answer your questions if you have some. Or if there's any other reports that we might have and you'd like to have, I'll be glad to produce those for you and try to get them for you.
Questions? Mr. Vessa?
I would like a copy of the mail-in.
Okay.
If I could read that. And also, you know, we were kind of used to coming up here and getting the results a lot earlier. And because of the low number of voters that went out, I mean, it's a small
We
amount.
had a total of 2,044 voters who cast their ballots in the school race.
There's very few
Yes.
compared to the number of registered
Well,
voters.
we have a total registered voters in Valverde County of 27,000.
Right.
So that's, but I guarantee you it's a lot more than what you've had in the past.
Now, is there something that can be done to speed up the process? Because, you know, it's like,
Yeah,
we
I
came-
understand the
we came
question.
here and we didn't even have the early votes,
Mhm.
you know, which is normally, those were up like 30 minutes after election
Yeah.
day.
In other situations, yes, but I'm not going to make excuses. As long as you have the human element playing into elections, you never can tell. You might have a good night and you get everything done and you get it out in an hour, and you might have a bad night. But in this case, one of our election judges, the numbers weren't coming up for him and he wasn't reconciling. And I will not release numbers until that judge is convinced or we sit down and we discuss and we find out what happened that night that his numbers are not coming out. And it took a little while. Also, not to put the blame on any judge or worker. The school district is not used to operating the equipment that we use. We did have a training. We did bring them in 2 days and have them ask questions and have them try the equipment and everything. But if you haven't done it and you're used to doing things manually, it takes a little time to get them used to that. So in this case, that was the case. And so the machine will not lie to you about your numbers, so it's kind of hard when the judge is coming with his paperwork and that number doesn't quite match the number on the machine. And then usually it's a human error. It's not that they're trying to, do anything wrong. It's just, that's the way things go. And until we talk about it and we try to resolve it, until that judge feels comfortable, I'm not going to release any numbers and I'm not going to put those numbers together because I don't want to mislead you in any way. I'm not going to tell you tonight you won and tomorrow morning have to tell you, what, no, they made a mistake. That is the reason that I feel that sometimes we take longer to get things done. In this case, we also had 2 other elections going on at the same time. It was difficult to get the people that we normally get to help us with elections. They were spread out. Plus it was Mother's Day, so some people were going out of town and it was difficult to get the people that we normally have. But hopefully in the future, the more they are experienced, the more they get to try the equipment and the more they get to work with the equipment, the better they'll get at it. And hopefully cut that time, from what we normally have.
And the reason I was asking is because,
The anxiety of
the
waiting,
anticipation,
yes.
we're waiting and sometimes you have people there that are like, what did you win, blah, blah, and you can't say anything. But I kind of worry, like, what if 27,000 people went out to vote? That'd be ideal. But
We definitely would want you to go to Commissioner's Court and have them talk about electronic equipment, because this is not something that we could handle, 27,000 voters voting even on the equipment we have now. There's just no way. I mean, it would take a totally different type of equipment to get people, that many people, and calculated and done. Now, I will answer one question. You said about meeting here and you're used to this. I gave that option to Yan and Connie and to Mr. Rios of either, the other entities chose to have a person there. Like, the person worked with me all day to see where things are going and how they're being done and what goes where and when the ballot board meets and all that. They chose to stay here and for me just to report in the numbers to them. That's quite all right. It's whatever you feel comfortable with and whatever you want to do. If you want it done different, then just let me know. I mean, we can try different things until you're happy with what you want. And I understand because you want to be here because this is the entity you want to represent. But we're also, you know, limited with the amount of equipment we have and where we have it and where we can have it. But, I mean, those are all things we can work on, for sure.
And, you know, I understand our part too, because we
Yes.
get calls from the News Herald and, you know, at like midnight, what did I say? You know, like. Those
No,
kind
I
of things.
understand, I understand. Well, we do the best we can, and like I said, in this case, you're welcome to have a poll watcher at any time, anywhere we are doing elections and that we have them. So, I mean, if at any time anyone feels that they need to have some person there, certainly, you know, 2 or 3 eyes are better than one, and if to protect your interests, certainly I encourage you to do that, if that is something you want to do.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Ramon?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A thankless job.
And I do thank you for the thoroughness of the packet.
Thank you.
It's very easily understood. Thank you.
Mr. Garabedian, the next step to the process, now that we have the total number of votes by precinct for our 14 precincts and the summary of those total votes, would be to read the order of canvassing and the certificate for canvassing and make the motion to either approve the process. The votes, I'm sorry, not the process, but the votes. And there's 2 documents.
Right, this one is the order canvassing election returns.
Yes, sir.
So this is the first one
Yes, sir.
to be read
Yes, sir.
by me.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
I'm sure. Okay, order canvassing election returns. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, the district, ordered an election to be held in the district on May 10th, 2014 on the trustee election hereinafter stated. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the district, the board, has investigated all matters pertaining to said election, including the ordering, giving notice, officers holding and making returns of said election, and whereas the election officers who held said election have duly made the returns of the result thereof, and said returns have been duly delivered to the board, therefore be it ordered by the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District that 1, the board officially finds and determines that said election was duly ordered, proper notice of said election was duly given, proper election officers were duly appointed prior to said election was duly held, the district has complied with the Federal Voting Rights Act and the Texas Election Code, due returns of the result of said election have been made and delivered, and the board has duly canvassed said returns, all in accordance with the law and the order calling said election. Now we need a motion to accept, correct?
There's a document that follows.
The second one as
Yes,
well?
sir.
I get to read another one.
Yes, that
This one. Okay. This is a certificate for order. We, the undersigned officers of the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, the district, hereby certify as follows. 1, the Board of Trustees of the district, the board, convened in regular meeting on the 19th day of May 2014 at the regular designated meeting place, and the roll was called of the duly constituted officers and members of the board, to wit, Charles Garabedian, President; Cecilia Martinez Lozano, Vice President; Joshua Overfeld, Secretary; Dr. Fernando Keys, Trustee; Raymond P. Mesa, Trustee; Roberto Chavita, Trustee; Amy Haynes, Trustee. And all of said persons were present, thus constituting a quorum. Whereupon, among other business, the following was transacted at the meeting: a written order canvassing election returns. The order was duly introduced for consideration of the board. It was then duly moved and seconded that the order be passed, and after due discussion, said motion carrying with it the passage of the order prevailed and carried by the following votes. Continue reading.
Well, this is where you would vote,
Okay.
and then we would record the votes.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Yes.
Okay, a motion, the terminology, motion to accept the votes as canvassed, will that work, or just motion to accept?
Motion to accept the votes as canvassed.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the votes as canvassed?
Motion.
Mr. Overfelt has motion, Mr. Mesa has second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
And if you'd like to continue reading the document, where it would require the signature of the board president and secretary.
Do I make a note that there were 7 ayes?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So there have been 7 ayes, and 2, a true, full, and correct copy of the order passed at the meeting is attached, and follows this certificate, the order has been duly recorded in the board's minutes of the meeting. The above and foregoing paragraph is a true, full, and correct excerpt from the board's minutes of the meeting pertaining to the passage of the order. The persons named in the above and foregoing paragraph, and the duly chosen, qualified, and acting officers and members of the board as indicated therein. Each of the officers and members of the board was duly and sufficiently notified officially and personally in advance of the time, place, and purpose of the meeting, and that the order would be introduced and considered for passage at the meeting, and each of the officers and members consented in advance to the holding of the meeting for such purpose, and the meeting was open to the public, and public notice of the time, place, and purpose of the meeting was given, all as required by Chapter 551 Texas Government Code as amended. And then number 3 says Joshua Overfelt is a duly appointed and acting secretary of the Board of Trustees, and it says signed and sealed this May 19th, 2014. Place for the secretary of the Board of Trustees to sign, and a place for the president of the Board of Trustees to sign.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. At this time, Ms. Estela Ortiz, a notary public, will present the officer statement to each of the candidates, and then we'll do the oath of office, and at the end of the meeting, we'll then present the certificate of election for all signatures, for all to sign. And then is she not in here? Oh, there she is. She will start with, she'll start with Dr. Keys. No, the statement of office, or they sign and then you do the oath. So you can take his folder. There you go. They sign the statement of office, and then you read the oath. But I'll hand you these once you follow.
Okay, I, Fernando Keys, do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contribute, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. Okay. Okay.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I, Fernando Keys, do solemnly swear or affirm.
Say that? Okay. That's a long one.
I, Fernando Keys,
You're too fast. I, Fernando Keys,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
that
that I will faithfully execute
execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of San Felipe del Rio CISD
of San Felipe del Rio CISD
Board of Trustees,
Board of
Place
Trustees.
1
Place 1
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my abilities
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the
and-
Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
of this state, so help me God.
of this state, so help me God.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much.
I, Cecilia Martinez Lozano, do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
Now, do the oath. I, Cecilia Martinez Lozano,
I, Cecilia Martinez Lozano,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
of San Felipe del Rio CISD,
of San Felipe del Rio, CISD,
Board of Trustees, Place 3,
Board of Trustees, Place 3,
of the State of Texas,
of the State of
and
Texas,
will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God. Thank you.
I, Raymond P. Mesa, do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
I, Raymond Mesa,
I, Raymond Mesa,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I would faithfully execute the duties
of the office of the San Felipe del Rio CISD,
of the office of the San Felipe del Rio CISD,
Board of Trustees, Place 4,
Board of Trustees, Place 4,
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I, Roberto Chavira, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the given or withholding of a vote at the election in which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whatever the case may be, so help me God.
I, Roberto Chavira,
I, Roberto Chavira,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
of San Felipe del Rio
San Felipe
CISD,
del Rio CISD,
Board of Trustees, Place 5,
Board of Trustees, Place 5,
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, with the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to everybody.
Thank you. that brings us to agenda item 5, organization of the Board of Trustees, election of officers. This is pursuant to Board Policy BDAA Legal and Local, which was included in your packet. Are there any questions about the process? No? At this time, is there a nomination for President of the Board of Trustees? Ms. Lozano?
I'd like to nominate Charles Garabedian for president.
Okay, Charles Garabedian has been nominated for President. Are there other nominations for President of the Board of Trustees? No? No other nominations? Okay, then at this time, nominations for President of the Board of Trustees are closed. All in favor of Charles A. Garabedian as President of the Board of Trustees, please vote by a show of hands. 5 yes, all opposed, 1 opposed, abstentions, 1 abstention. At this time, we are now open for nominations for Vice President of the Board of Trustees. Chair recognizes the chair's right to make a nomination. I nominate Ms. Ceci Martinez Lozano. Are there other nominations for Vice President of the Board of Trustees? Okay, nominations for Vice President is now closed. All in favor of Ceci Martinez Lozano as Vice President of the Board of Trustees by a show of hands? 7 yes, it's unanimous. At this time, we'll accept nominations for Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Is there a nomination for Secretary? Mr. Chavita?
I nominate Mr. Overfelt.
Mr. Joshua Overfelt has been nominated. I second the nomination, which isn't required, but it's an endorsement. Other nominations for Secretary of the Board of Trustees? Okay, nominations for Secretary of the Board of Trustees are now closed. All in favor of Mr. Josh Overfelt as Secretary of the Board of Trustees? Unanimous, 6 yeses. That concludes the election of officers. Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you to everyone serving once again as officers.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
6 yeses or 7?
It was 7.
Okay.
In your case, 7. Okay, that brings us to agenda item 6, recognitions. A, Del Rio High School Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, FCCLA students advanced to nationals. Mr. Gonzalez, you're up.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Del Rio High School Chapter of Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, also known as FCCLA, competed at the Texas FCCLA State Leadership Conference in Corpus Christi, Texas on April the 9th through the 11th. Students participated in what is called the STAR, Students Taking Action with Recognition, events and earn medals for their success. Here with me today are the FCCLA sponsors, Erica Bradley, Nancy St. Peter, and Ms. Linda Corbell. Now, Mrs. Corbell will provide FCCLA information and present the students that are advancing to nationals, which will be held July 6th through the 10th in San Antonio, Texas. Mrs. Corbell.
Good evening. My name is Linda Corbell, and I am one of the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America Advisors from Del Rio High School. I am very pleased to be here tonight to give you a brief update about FCCLA and its members who have won awards and qualified to participate and compete at the National Conference, SOAR. FCCLA, formerly known as Future Homemakers of America, or FHA, has been around for over 50 years. FCCLA is a student-led with over 200,000 members nationwide, including Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and Alaska. Its central focus is the family. Membership in FCCLA is voluntary and can only be acquired through enrollment in the Family and Consumer Science courses. Members plan and participate in a variety of activities at DRHS and DRFS and in the community. Through their participation, they have learned leadership, developed creative and critical thinking, interpersonal communication, practical knowledge, and career preparation. One of the many programs FCCLA offers is the STAR Events program, Students Taking Action with Recognition. There are 21 competitive events student members can participate in and win at the regional and state level. Those winning at state must win and earn their place to go to the national competition representing Texas. This year, I am very proud to present to you our state winners and national qualifiers. From the Del Rio freshman, FCCLA advisor Erica Bradley. Placing second place in the junior division, Promote and Publicize FCCLA, is Ana Araceli Barrios. Placing first in the junior division, National Programs in Action, are Tiffany Gonzalez and Logan Meadow. Promote and Publicize FCCLA is an individual or team event that recognizes participants who develop an FCCLA promotion and publicity campaign to raise awareness and educate the school, parents, and members of the community about the importance of FCCLA and family and consumer sciences education. National Programs in Action, an individual or team event, recognizes participants who explain how the planning process was used to plan and implement a national program project. From the Del Rio High School FCCLA, advisor Nancy St. Peter. Winning second place in Promote and Publicize FCCLA Senior Division is Alejandra Chavez, Michael Mott, and Estefania Moreno. Michael Mott is working this evening. The goal of the event of Promote and Publicize is to provide FCCLA members with communications experience to make a difference by increasing membership, developing partnerships, gaining alumni and associate involvement, promoting FACS education, gathering school and community support for their chapter, and contributing to the longevity of the organization and the relevance of its opportunities for members. Additionally, this event will increase member awareness of careers in communications and public relations. And from the Del Rio High School FCCLA RAM chapter, winning first place in Teach and Train Occupational Division is Israel Prieto. Teach and Train, an individual event, recognizes participants who demonstrate their ability to explore and experience the career of teaching or training. Participants must prepare a portfolio of the teaching and training career, prepare and execute a complete lesson plan, workshop, and an oral presentation. Senior and occupational participants will also complete a shadowing experience of a best practices teacher. FCCLA would like to thank Dr. Sally Zuniga-Barrera, Mr. Jorge Limon, and the administrative team and staff for all the approvals of activities and fundraisers and support for our FCCLA student members. Thank you also to Mr. Gonzalez, Mrs. Linda Flores, Ramiro Ortiz, Karina Alcalá, and Ernesto Lopez for your support and leadership. Mr. Gonzalez and his CTE team, or family as we like to call it, have been very supportive of the work of each of the FCCLA chapters each year. We are a very active organization, and that requires the approval and funding of many activities to make all this happen for our FCS and CTE kids, and that is what makes our chapters some of the best in the state. Mr. Gonzalez's high standards for the CTE department and student organizations are what challenges us to meet higher goals, and that support is critical. We would like to thank the parents of these members as well. They are all great parents to work with and always support their children. This, as you see, is the largest number of competitors advancing to national that we have ever had. These students before you have received many honors and awards from FCCLA and the community. We are very proud to be their advisors and would like to thank you for supporting us as we travel to the national conference in July in San Antonio, Texas. We will soar to new heights in FCCLA. I invite you to visit the FCCLA website at www.fcclainc.org or the state website, the texasfccla.org. Thank you.
Good job.
March. This makes 49 CTE students that are advancing to national or world this year.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. She does, right? She looks like. Okay, that brings us to agenda item 6B, secondary UIL students and sponsors at regional UIL. Ms. Brown?
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, and board members. Tonight I'd like to share with you the accomplishments of the secondary academic UIL program for this school year. We're going to start with Del Rio High School. Del Rio High School UIL Academics, the campus coordinator is Terry Ahrens. And the UIL sponsors are Larissa Garansui, Accounting, James Millender, Number Sense and Calculator Applications, Cheryl Casbier, Ready Writing and Social Studies, Margot Rosano, Literary Criticism and Current Events, Victor Richardson, Science and Mathematics, Nancy Bass, Spelling, Carmen Sutton, News Writing and Headline Writing, Ophelia Hernandez, Editorial Writing and Feature Writing, Nilda Benavides, Informative and Persuasive Speaking, Eddie De La Rosa, Poetry and Prose, Interpretation, Raquel Martin, One-Act Play, and Terry Ahrens, Computer Science, Computer Applications, and UIL Coordinator. We're going to highlight what has gone on this year with the UIL academic program at Del Rio High School. They start much earlier in the year than the middle school program. We start in July with the Capital Conference, which was for the coordinators. Then in September, there's a student activity conference for the students to go to and their coaches. Then October is their first meet. It was at O'Connor High School, TMSCA qualifier. TMSCA is Texas Math and Science Coaches Association. And they had mathematics, science, calculator applications, number sense, and computer science, and they placed third. Also in October, One-Act Play State Clinic at Texas Tech, and conference for all One-Act Play directors. In December, they went to James Madison High School for another TMSCA qualifier in literary events, and they placed third. In January, they had pre-district, all 20 UIL academic events they went to. They placed third, and MacArthur High School, another TMSCA qualifier in literary events. In February, they went to Ronald Reagan High School, TMSCA qualifier for literary events. They placed third. At McCollum High School, TMSCA qualifier in literary and speaking events. They placed first, and they had a One-Act Play clinic at J.B. Alexander High School. In March, they had the district meet in Laredo. 12 qualified for the Regional 4 Championship. They had One-Act Play clinic in Eagle Pass, One-Act Play technical clinic at J.B. Alexander, and One-Act Play district meet. Okay, our regional qualifiers, that's what we were waiting for. So students and coaches, please come forward when I call your name. In science, we had Adrian Ortiz, and top physics at district, Fernando Mesa, sponsor, Victor Richardson. In spelling, we got second place team at regionals, Erica Ong, Edmundo Ramon, Victoria Sanchez, Alejandra Terrones, and the sponsor is Nancy Bass. Current issues, we had Guillermo Hernandez. The sponsor is Margot Rosano. Calculator applications, Curtis Davis, and the sponsor is James Millender. Persuasive speaking, Hector Gallegos made regionals, and his sponsor is Nilda Benavides. Number sense, Israel Sosa, and his sponsor is James Millender. Criticism, Ivana Hidalgo, and the sponsor is Margot Rosano. Headline writing, Alejandra Terrones, and the sponsor is Carmen Sutton. Ready writing, Marcos Fuentes, and the sponsor is Cheryl Casbier. News writing, Nadia Ford. Her sponsor is Carmen Sutton. These students all qualified for regionals, and our one student who is not here, Edmundo Ramon, he won first place in spelling, and the reason he is not here is because he is at state right now. They left this afternoon. He went with his sponsor, his coach, Nancy Bass, and Terry Ahrens, the UIL coordinator. So good luck, Edmundo, because they compete tomorrow. And here is a picture of Del Rio High School, UIL academics. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to the middle schools. We have San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Lena Keaton is the UIL coordinator. And Del Rio Middle School, Griselda Martinez is the UIL coordinator there. Middle school does it differently. They have two UIL leagues. They have stall meets and they have TMSCA meets. So for the stall meets, the South Texas Academic and Literary League, they went to 3 meets and then to the Tournament of Champions. They had to place either 1st through 6th in any of those meets in order to be able to attend the Tournament of Champions. For TMSCA, there were 2 meets, and the students that got the first 10 places or a specific score were able to go to the April 5th state meet. So this is stall, and these are all the different events that the students can compete in stall. The first meet they went to was Legacy Middle School in San Antonio, January 25th. So middle school doesn't start until January, whereas high school starts early in the fall. Middle school just runs January through April. We have approximately 78 students from 6th grade competing throughout the season and 110 at Del Rio Middle School. I'm definitely not going to read these all to you, but the sponsors wanted to let you know how many students do place in each of these meets at the middle school. I do want to list, though, the sponsors, please, for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. 6th grade coaches, Ariel Ortiz, calculators, duet, pantomime. Tula Acosta, number sense. Lena Keaton, spelling, solo humorous. Guillermo Gomez, maps, charts, and graphs, dictionary skills. Marianne Ortiz, prose and poetry. Claudia Briones Ortiz, duet serious, solo serious. Sarah Cienega, oration. Lily Jimenez, science, duet humorous. Maria Morel, history. Renee Montgomery, ready writing. There's normally anywhere from 24 to 32 students that place at middle school in the stall meets, which is fabulous. Our Del Rio Middle School coaches are Yadira Hernandez, spelling, Sandra Garcia, dictionary and solo humorous, Lily Keldy, ready writing and math, Lori Solis, maps, charts, and graphs, history, Arturo Padilla, number sense and math, Teresa Garcia, calculator, Griselda Martinez, oration, solo humorous, Claudia Talamontes, poetry and prose, Jessie Castorena, solo serious, Michelle Gomez, duet serious, Lori Ramirez, duet humorous, Julia McKinney, pantomime, Robert Clockman, science. So at Legacy Middle School, our 6th grade campus got first place overall, and Del Rio Middle School got first place overall. Then they went on to Seguin, February 1st, and again, we had all of these students place 1st through 6th at San Felipe Memorial, Del Rio Middle 7th, Del Rio Middle 8th. Here's pictures of the kids at the meet. Then they went to Scobee Middle School February the 8th, and again, we had many, many students place 1st through 6th in San Felipe Memorial Middle School, Del Rio Middle School 7th, Del Rio Middle School 8th. And they got first place overall at Scobee Middle School for 6th grade and for 7th and 8th. So the Tournament of Champions was February 23rd, and here's all the students that placed at the Tournament of Champions. This is why they couldn't come here tonight. The sponsor said, we should have all the students that placed 1st through 6th at Tournament of Champions. I said, okay, fine, how many kids would that be? Over 100. And I went, well, I'm sorry, I just don't think they'll fit here. So we really do congratulate all these students that got to the Tournament of Champions for the stall meets. They got first place overall too, which is darn good. All right, then we have the Texas Math and Science Coaches Association. And the first one they had was March 1st at Bush Middle School. And they compete in not just math skills, but spelling, science, arts and maps, charts and graphs, and dictionary skills. 7th grade, 8th grade, they got 3rd place overall. Their next meet, they also did well, 3rd place overall. And then UTSA State Meet in San Antonio, Texas was on April 4th. So for the students that placed in the top 10, they were able to come to the state meet. And hopefully they are here tonight, since I couldn't fit all 100 on the stage. If the following students and sponsors would please come forward from San Felipe Memorial Middle School: Mia Rodriguez, Science; Ruben Flores, Science; Ana Palacios, Math. The sponsors are Lily Jimenez and Tula Costa. From Del Rio Middle, we had Edith Martinez, Science; Sergio Gomez, Math; and the sponsors were Robert Glockman and Art Padilla.
Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Cool shirts. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all of our middle school students and sponsors who went to state. This is fabulous. Good job, guys.
For C.
I'm C.
Agenda item 6C, National Honor Student Councils 2014, Texas. Again, Mrs. Brown.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, and board members. The National Association of Elementary School Principals funds an Honor Council Excellent Award Program, which recognizes elementary and 6th grade schools for their exemplary performance in student council. The goal of the program is to recognize student councils for outstanding participation in the following areas: community service, student leadership, citizenship, and school spirit. The San Felipe Del Rio CISD campuses that were awarded the National Honor Student Council Excellence Award in Texas for 2014 were Ruben Chavira, sponsors Marta Galindo and Deborah Luna.
It's too much fun out there.
The student officers are Reno Luna, Aria Duenes, Kayana Medina, Alexa Hernandez, and Kyla Mancado. And again, the sponsors are Marta Galindo and Deborah Luna.
Congratulations.
Good one, good one.
Next campus is Garfield. Sponsors Araceli Jimenez.
Good job. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Good job.
Okay, the second campus that won the National Honor Student Council Excellence Award was Garfield. The sponsor is Araceli Jimenez, and the student officers are Emily Diaz, Sabrina Hernandez, Natalia Pena, and Jessie Ariola.
Good job.
Good job.
All right.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Our third elementary campus that also won this award was Lonnie Green. The sponsors are Monica Rivera, Amanda Franco, Rebecca Castro Chavez, Mina Salazar. And the student officers are Camelia Chavez, Rebecca Chavez, Jenna Viriel, Cameron Garza, Rebecca Rivera, Rihanna Reyes, and Jaden Casillas.
Way to go, way to go.
Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey.
And last but not least, North Heights Elementary. Sponsors Lupita Ortiz, Chris Cardenas, Angelica Manrique. Student officers Carolina Sanchez, Gavin Dawson, Alejandra Flores, and Luis Flores.
Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Good job.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
One more, real quick.
Each campus student council receives a certificate of excellence, and they'll also receive a trophy at our fall student council leadership training. Congratulations to all 4 campuses. Thank you.
Governor, on agenda item 6D, Fine Arts, Recent Dance, Mariachi, Jazz Band, and University Interscholastic League accomplishments. Mr. Nunez.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Today I would like to inform you of some of the recent fine arts student achievements in dance, mariachi, jazz, and UIL. The students have done an outstanding job representing Del Rio, and we're very proud to present them to you. The first group is the Del Rio Middle School under the direction of Mrs. Kayla Lopez. I'll let her talk about her program.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. I'm going to keep it short to begin because I'm going to have my girls who want to speak, and they are proud to announce the achievements that they have received this year. So I'm going to start off with our captain for the team, Gloria Rubio.
Hello, my name is Gloria Rubio, and in October for the Amistad Parade together, we band. We received the Honorable Mention Award representing a guardian of friendship, and it's this one. Then, in December for the Christmas Parade again, with DRMS Symphonic Band, we received second place as a marching group representing a Candy Christmas as Candy Cane Cutie Lane, and it's this one.
Hello, I'm Chloe McWilliams, and in January, we submitted a routine to the Spirit of America Productions out of Dallas, Texas, to receive acceptance to participate in the 2014 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. After a week, we received a phone call and a letter to congratulate us that we have been accepted to participate in the parade in New York City.
In April, we went to the Showtime International Dance Competition at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and received several awards. We received the Judges Awards. All routines were scored above 90 from all 3 judges. We also received 3 Best in Category awards, placing first, second place in our dance routines. Along receiving these awards, we received the Sweepstakes Awards and qualified to receive the Champion Circle Award.
Good evening, my name is Brianna Marufo, and I'm gladly representing the Del Rio Middle School Palms team. On behalf of me and my dad,
dance team, we would like to thank all our principals, Ida Gomez, and our assistant principals as the following: Dr. Alana Talamantes, Ms. Correa, Mr. Rodriguez, and Mr. Jimenez for all their support throughout the year, and would like to thank you all for all what you do. I myself have thoroughly enjoyed this dance program, and I can't wait to fulfill my dreams in my dance career. Not only did I learn dance, but I also learned sisterhood, discipline, and overachievement. Thank you, Coach Lopez, for everything you do.
Yes, you can take the trophies. I'm just trying not to take too much time, but I did have a very, very big group this year. For the extracurricular, at one point, we started off with 101 girls. So I had 101 girls on a football field, the very first football game. And come competition, as you can see, the parades, we had over at least 80 participants as the team coming down the parade for both Amistad, Veterans Day Parade, and the Christmas Parade. And for competition, we took a total of 36 girls. I wish I could have taken everybody, but we were limited. So 36 middle school girls, mix of 7th and 8th grade, went to compete at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. And I have to say that I'm very, very proud because, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it starts at the middle school level, and I can say that all these girls, majority, at least 95% of the girls, were beginner dance. Have not been in a program, never been in a team, and they have worked so hard and have come such a long way. And I'm very proud of these girls, and the program is just growing. This is the 4th year, and just want to say that being the 3rd year going to competition, we have received a total of 19 awards in the last 3 years going to competition, along with our 2 awards from the Amistad Parade and the Christmas Parade. And one award we forgot to mention was Chloe McWilliams, along with another dance team member, Dulcinea Flores. They competed in a duet competition in a jazz routine and also received first place in that one. So I'd like to thank everybody in the community for their support, and it's been a great year. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Thank you once again to the Del Rio Middle School POM team. Our next group.
Can I get you guys to take a couple steps back, and then I want the big trophy right in the center. Go ahead and face this with me. Squeeze in just a little bit more. Perfect. Smile. All right, one more photo.
Good job. Who's my sisterhood? Good job. Sister of the traveling. Congratulations. All right. I've seen that one also. Congratulations. Congratulations. All right. Way to go. Way to go. Congratulations. 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 Our next group is also the Del Rio Freshman Sapphires. They also competed at Showtime International Dance Competition in SeaWorld. This is the director is Miss Brittany Brandenberger.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Rios and members of the school board. I'm Ms. Brandenberger, the director of the Sapphires. Here with me tonight, I just have one of my team captains and co-captain holding some of the awards that we won at the SeaWorld Showtime International Dance Competition in San Antonio. They won awards for Officer Jazz, Team Kick, Team Palm, and their Team Hip Hop Routine. Behind me, my captain.
Hi, my name is Shania Gutierrez. I'm the team captain, and I am holding the award for First Division Officers and Sweepstakes for Team. Thank you.
All right.
I am Angela Mesa, and I am an officer, and I'm holding the Best in Category for Hip Hop, Best in Category for Kick, and Judges Award for Choreography. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be recognized tonight. I'm very proud of all of the team, not just the 2 that are here. They worked really hard this year.
I'd like to thank Mr. Nunez also for allowing us this opportunity and giving me the chance to work with these girls this year. Thank you.
Our next group is the Del Rio High School Dance Company under the direction of Diana Rodriguez.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Let me present to you my dance company members. We have 14 girls that all auditioned last summer out of 50 girls, and these are the ones that made it. And so I just wanted to say that they have worked really hard since the summer all the way through, and they have worked their hearts out all summer long. And when we went to competition this year, it was really, really important for me that they went this year. We weren't able to go last year, so this year meant a lot for us to go. And because of that, we worked really hard mornings and afternoons, weekends, whenever we could squeeze practice time in, and they did very, very well. And so y'all spread out. Where's all of my goodies? So let me just tell you, dance company's been in existence since 1999, and we've been competing since 2009. We've been recognized in outstanding performances at school events and around town, and this past competition was no exception. They performed at the International Dance Competition at SeaWorld in San Antonio, and they received Division I ratings for their lyrical, jazz, hip-hop, novelty dances, Best in Class for hip-hop, jazz, and lyrical, Judges Award for jazz and lyrical, sweepstakes, and Grand Champion. So they did very, very well for their division. And also, my senior, Miss Alexa Portilla, 2-year member, she won second place in all high school soloists. So she did an exceptional job. And without further ado, I'd just like to invite everybody. We have our annual spring show this Saturday. It is free to the public, so you can witness for yourself just how hard these girls have worked. And all of them came to me with very little dance training, and they've worked so hard, and I'm so proud of them, and they make my life meaningful because of them. Thank you very much. Of course, to my principals and Mr. Nunez, I don't want to forget anybody else, but thank you guys also for all of your support. Thank you.
Great trophy.
Oh, I wish I felt like that. Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Y'all go dancing right now? Our next are UIL trophies, and we had 10 opportunities to make a sweepstakes or first division, and so out of this group, we received 9. So at this time, this is Del Rio Middle School Concert Band. They competed in UIL, and I'll turn the mic over to Mr. Morales.
afternoon. On April 10th, we went and competed at UIO Concert and Sight Reading in Eagle Pass, and we received all first divisions from all the judges, and we received a sweepstakes award. We hadn't received the sweepstakes since 2010, and before that since 2008. And we haven't received straight ones in over 14 years. So we had a major accomplishment. These kids took an above average program. Usually, for their division, they are required to take 2 grade 1 level programs, and they took 2 grade 2 songs. So I'm really proud of the work they did. Mr. Brijalba, the art director that works with me at the middle school, has said, in the first semester, he said, I think this is the best band that has ever, this best concert band that has ever been at this school since I've worked here. So that was a big compliment, I felt, because he's been teaching longer than I've been alive. So, so it was a really rewarding journey, and I'm still pushing because the year's not over, and we still I still want to enjoy hearing their sounds every day. And so I hurry them up because that's the best part of my day, is just hearing them play. Then we also are going to talk about the mariachi. Raise your hand, guys, if you were in a non-varsity mariachi. When the non-varsity mariachi competed in the Festivales Culturas Unidas in Laredo, Texas, and we're happy to come out first place right there, and also receive the award of best trumpets. Now, a lot of our mariachi and a lot of our band, we have a 70-piece band, and the mariachi is 20 plus members. They had some of them had the sports banquet and stuff like that. So, but there's a lot more kids that are part of this organization, and they go lengths far and beyond to meet my expectations. And apparently, it seems like the sky's the limit with them. Now, next group that I need to talk about is the Del Rio Middle School Jazz Band. Now, raise your hand if you guys are in jazz band. Okay. A lot of them are in Mr. Rijalba's group, the symphonic band. And we went and competed in... Cool. All right, so we competed in Jazz Festival, St. Mary's Jazz Festival in San Antonio, Texas. And we received all first divisions there as well, so... She really hates me. I don't know what it is. But they did outstanding. Now, I received lots of judges. At least 2 out of the 3 judges came and personally shook my hand and said how well the band sounded. They were amazed. They were surprised. It was just, I was extremely proud of them. I think I just couldn't stop talking about it. I still can't stop talking about them. They're a great group. I've had fun, and we've had all success at Del Rio Middle School, and hopefully we'll continue doing this in the future.
Congratulations again to the Del Rio Concert Band, Jazz Band, and Mariachi.
We're going to take a photo from the back, but can you guys squeeze in just a good bunch more? Turn sideways, guys. That first night, though, was like... We're going to have a monitor right in the middle, so we still got to get the verse. Chalice. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Old family name.
Thank y'all.
In fact, I think. See if I can find the coat of arms. What did your dad say? Oh, he was all about that. Mr. Trying not to show any emotion.
Our next organization is the Del Rio Middle School Symphonic Band under the direction of Mr. Jessup Grijalva.
Thank you. This is the Del Rio Middle School Symphonic Band, and we also went to UIL Concert and Sight Reading Contest in Eagle Pass and received straight ones from all the judges. And one of the judges was so impressed with this group from the concert portion that he went into the concert, the sight reading room, just to listen to us play one more time. So they were real impressed. I'm very proud of these students. We have mostly 8th graders in this band and some 7th graders, but they're all very mature, very experienced, and they're very good players. They play very well on their instrument, and I'm very proud of them. And they serve Del Rio Middle School and Del Rio extremely well. Thank you.
I'm not even going to ask Mr. Grijalva how many sweepstakes he has under his belt, but it must be over 25 or so.
I think I have more sweepstakes than Mr. Morales has been alive.
Okay. We're now to the Del Rio High School, and then as you can see, our program has been growing not only with numbers but also in competition, being very successful. Next group is our Del Rio High School Symphonic Band. It's under the direction of Mr. Grange. The Del Rio Symphonic Band earned a first division rating in sight reading at UIL concert in San Antonio.
Went to contests, and we got 2s on stage. We got 1s from every judge in sight reading, so I'm really proud of my group. So they worked really hard. So that's about it.
Thank you. Our next organization is the Del Rio High School Concert Band under the direction of Mr. Daniel White. Our competitions are usually UIL and dance in the month of April, so it's, our apologies, we're taking a little bit too much, but I think this is very significant in recognizing our fine arts students.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. This is some of the students from the concert band at the high school. On April 11th, we went to our UIL concert and sight reading contest. It's 2 contests in one, and we scored straight ones on the stage contest, and then we got a 1-1-2 on the sight reading, so that gave us eligible for sweepstakes. So that's the trophy they have in front of them. And next, I'm going to have the students that were in jazz band go ahead and stay put. Everybody else, go ahead. No, go ahead. And I'll bring the jazz band kids in. Oh. Okay, so most of these kids, we had UIL on April 11th, and then the jazz band on April 12th took a 7-hour drive to Texas Tech in Lubbock, and we received a superior straight 1 rating there at the Texas Tech Jazz Festival. So that's the certificate they have in front of them. Very busy 2 days, and they still came out on top. Also, 2 of the students in the jazz band were recognized for outstanding soloist. We have Miles De La Garza and Kaylee Herzog.
And our last organization is the Del Rio Wind Ensemble. While they're getting here, I would also like to recognize our principals of this organization, Mrs. Aida Gomez, Mr. Jorge Limon, and also Dr. Zuniga Barrera for all their help and support in our organizations.
Good evening, and I'd like to recognize this great group of kids that received straight first divisions at UIL Concert and Sight Reading Contest on April 11th. They were actually one of the best bands. There were 3 other groups out of the 5As that didn't quite make the top rating, that did not get this large trophy that you see here. So I'm glad that we weren't one of those 3. We were again at the top. We received many compliments from the judges, and they had an outstanding program, and I'm very, very proud of them, especially if I could have all the seniors raise your hand, please, all the seniors. So I thank the seniors, and we all thank you for your years of service to the band. And just recently I awarded Ms. Woolrich over here a Director's Award because she's a great student and received a scholarship as well, and so... And really quickly, too, I wanted to also mention that we have a few of our trumpet players from our varsity mariachi group. They received 2nd place at the Texas State mariachi competition. So trumpet players, would you all raise your hand? We had 3 over here. So congratulations to them. And again, great job, guys, for making the first divisions and earning this trophy. And thank you.
Another organization school that I visited several times, and I'm very impressed, and maybe we can bring them in the next board meeting. It's the Cardwell's kids. They have a musical program in there, and it really the plant starts there, and it starts to grow. So we'll have that discussion with a steel pan. At this time, I'd like to thank once again our amazing, dedicated students, and Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. We would also like to thank you for allowing us the time to present the fine arts students to you. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item 6E, 2014 Media Honor Roll. Dr. Rios.
Mr. Garabedian, members of the board, we have a resolution that we'll ask the board president to read, and then we'd like to present an award to Mr. Orlando Vicuña and Christopher Hidorn from the Del Rio News Herald for the balanced reporting and providing valuable information for the district.
I'm going to read this now. I'm going to read the resolution. Take their photos. This is the resolution. Whereas in each community, the public schools are shaped by that community to provide the most appropriate and effective education for the school children who attend those schools. And whereas public schools are dependent on the community's support in countless ways, including support in setting goals for the education of our children and establishing successful volunteer and booster programs at the schools, for annual funding of operations and periodic bond elections, in the election of qualified school board members, and whereas much of the community's knowledge and opinions about the public schools rely on responsible reporting by local media representatives who decide which news to share with the community, how much attention will be focused on various issues, and what the tone of the reporting will be. Therefore, now be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District places the names of Orlando Vicuña and Christopher Hidorn on the statewide media honor roll, calling attention to the ongoing responsible and exemplary nature of reporting on this community's public schools. We express our appreciation for your balanced and accurate approach to sharing with this community both the challenges facing our schools and the successes achieved by the teachers and students. Your work has aided this community in focusing on the goal of providing the best public schools we can for every child who attends them. Thank you. Agenda item 7, public hearings, no items. Agenda item 8, board members report. A being board member tier 2 training requirement. This is kind of FYI, and I need the board's feedback. Let me give you one of these handouts to refresh everyone's memory. Okay, that's the, what you're looking at, board, is the overview of continuing education requirements for school board members. And I know you're familiar with it. What I'm referring to is the Tier 2 training requirement. I've already sent an email to Region 15. They were the ones who did our required Tier 2 last year. The reason I'm bringing it up a little bit to get some feedback and discussion is I know recently, within the last month or two, Mrs. Martinez Lozano and Ms. Haynes had talked a little bit about assessing the effectiveness of the board, and that certainly can be a topic incorporated into it. Traditionally, the Tier 2 training is team of 8, the reaffirmation of district goals, vision, that sort of thing, all of which can be rolled into it. So I'm working on the assumption that what is mandated certainly has to be a part of it, but also perhaps something pertaining to the assessment of the effectiveness or what needs to be enhanced as far as boards operating procedures, its comportment, things like that. Yes, does that sound reasonable?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. And the big question is when. In terms of a timeline, last year we did it on May 27th. The year before, which was a little bit different because change in the board's membership, and then we brought in Dr. Ackerman as superintendent. Former superintendent had left, so we kind of got pushed back to July, if memory serves. Ideally, it would happen fairly soon, and I'll give you kind of some ideas why. You have the TASB conference coming up in about a month, right? So if it could occur before that, and if it did involve like some sort of self-assessment individually, the board might be a little helpful as we go into those breakout sessions, maybe what you might think you want to know more about or feel you need to know more about, that sort of thing. It also sets up the more, in a little bit better way, the process for the superintendent's next set of performance goals, because we really need to either reaffirm the district goals or perhaps revise them a little bit before he gets into that, and that's coming in the next couple of months in the summer. So, who has a calendar? Dr. Garza, I'm sure you can pull up there's one at the back of every packet, okay. If you could, yeah. Yes, sir.
Just want to mention also that there's a good session going on in the summer leadership for self-assessment.
Okay, yeah, good point.
Board doing a self-evaluation.
In the email that I sent Region 15, I kind of threw out the idea, and of course they're busy, everybody's busy, if there was any possibility towards the end of this month or in the first couple of weeks of next month, which would put it in the best time frame. But let's kind of take a look and see what the board might be available to do, because I know Dr. Keys, will you be teaching summer 1? So that'll start up in about 2 weeks. June 2nd. Ms. Haynes,
Monday, Wednesday, I'll be out of town. Tuesday, Thursday, I'll be in town.
okay, all right. And Ms. Haynes?
I'm done Friday.
You're done Friday, okay, so. Mr. Overfeld?
Yeah, June 2nd.
June 2nd, but you're just in the morning,
Mornings,
right?
yes, sir.
And not on Fridays,
No.
correct? Yeah. I mean, I'm here whenever. I don't care what day, what time. Your work schedule, Ms. Lozano? Okay, all right. Well, let's look. Mr. Mesa, I know you and Mr. Chavita are retired, but you work an awful lot at other things, so.
Saturdays.
Saturdays, not good.
Yeah.
Saturday's not good, all right. So what are some of the options then, like at the end of this month, let's go to May. And I'm just trying to figure out, they're gonna get back with me when they're available, and I'm gonna see what we're thinking, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Friday, May the 30th, because we already have some concern about a Saturday. What about like a Friday?
The 30th, it may be great, it's before the summer starts.
Okay. Afternoon, because I know you get off at 5, Ceci.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But I'm going to
I've got something on the 30th.
What's that?
I have a conflict on the 30th.
Okay.
How about the 29th? Fernando's not available.
Fernando, you won't be working on the 29th yet, right?
No.
Okay.
Thursday will be fine. That week will be fine.
Okay, anytime that week.
Would that be like the evening?
It could be, certainly.
I'm done early, like
Okay.
5 o'clock.
On that Thursday or that Friday? Okay. So like perhaps if they're available, either 29th, 5 to 8, or Friday, the 30th, 5 to 8 would work. Okay. You can't do the 30th.
Budget workshop on 29th.
What's that?
Budget workshop on 29th.
Budget workshop.
I was gonna say, when are those? Okay,
Okay.
at what time?
We haven't set a time, but it would be 5 or 6.
All right.
Be here all day.
All right. Let's look at June.
When are the,
Okay, TASB is the week of the 18th. So, like in those prior 2 weeks, and what I'm hearing sounds like a Thursday evening or a Friday evening.
Thursday the 12th?
Well, Friday is, June 6th is graduation.
Right, so that's out.
That's out.
So it'd have to be the second week.
Okay,
There are a lot of events going on there.
right. So you think maybe
The second week.
the second week of June?
Friday the 13th, all right.
The 12th, okay. It sounds like the second week of June, Thursday, the 12th, or Friday, the 13th might work.
Not for me, I'm gonna be going on 13th.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
Earlier than that would be fine.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what the region people can do. All righty. Any questions? All right. Thanks. Okay, agenda item 9, reports. A being Buena Vista Elementary Gym Project update. Mr. Salinas. Present.
President, Dr. Rios, members of the board, and Mr. Salinas has passed out the monthly progress report. Would also like to show the video current as of today, the project that's occurring at Buena Vista. Just a quick reminder, we're adding predominantly the new gym, but we've also added a play court to replace the existing play court, which allowed us to expand parking on the east side. And then this summer, as soon as school's out, we'll go ahead and construct the fire lane that's been mandated by the city fire marshal. We are about halfway through with the pouring of the concrete parking lot on the east side of the project, and that's gone very well. We'll go ahead and continue the pouring process and should be completely through by the middle of June of all site concrete work. The masons will be sealing and cleaning the masonry. We have a anti-graffiti sealer that will go over it. That band you see in the middle will have a vertical siding that matches the vertical siding that's on the existing campus so that it all ties together when the project is complete. This is a shot of the canopy facing the existing campus buildings, and originally we intended to tie on to the existing structure. According to the original plans, there was a steel beam. Well, that steel beam doesn't exist at the top, and we were not able to go ahead and extend our framing on through. That necessitated constructing 4 columns and piers that relate to it. On the inside, they are now complete as of today with a gypsum wallboard, and they've started the ceramic tile on the inside of the restrooms this morning. That's a ceramic tile that is on site. They'll finish the tile this week and go ahead and install the plumbing fixtures. Shot back towards the mezzanine. Electricians were there wrapping up the wiring. The AC ductwork guys are wrapping up the installation of the ductwork, which has all been painted. This is another shot towards the connecting canopy. We did lose approximately a week once we got in and found out what we really had. in order to order the new columns. That in turn slowed us down on being able to button up the plaster soffits and enclose the building. Those plasterers will be on site this week. Mr. Sanchez believes he can keep up to the original anticipated date of July the 5th, but we're giving him July 11th just from contract reasons, but he's working hard to do it. Upcoming work, cleaning and sealing of the masonry, installing exterior wall panels. The panels are in town. The plaster will be putting up the porch soffits. The lathing work has already started. Mezzanine stairs and stairs to the roof are in transit. As soon as they arrive, we'll put them in. The porch railings are in town, and as soon as the plaster gets out of the way, we don't want to put, because they're nice railings, don't want to put them up until the plaster is through. This overhead work. Continue the site paving. They're installing the ceramic tile and restroom fixtures. And mezzanine wire mesh should be, partition should be here in 2 weeks. The gym flooring, they're just holding off installing that until all overhead work is complete. Original contract completion date was July 1st, moved back to July 5th with a few rain days that we had. And then as mentioned previously with the work at the canopy, July 11th is the contract completion date. Sorry, we'll answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
I just have one.
Yes, ma'am.
You talked about those 4 pillars or columns
Yes, ma'am.
that weren't there.
We'll do a
Is that
treatment.
butted up against that wall?
Well, no, there's actually 6 inches gap between the two in order to get the expansion, and we'll do a flashing as that'll get metal soffit panels and metal roofing panels on it, and then a metal trim all around it. We'll also, embellish the columns so they're not just sticks sitting there. Just a pleasant comment to also add on our west side road, it's going to cost us less than we originally anticipated, so we're pleased about that.
And do you anticipate any drainage problems with that?
We're have a drainage flume that is going through there already. We're also working on a drainage flume to capture the rain that comes down the hill. We'll get it captured and out on the north side before it ever gets to this location. Because right now there is a drainage problem, but we're addressing that as part of our site work.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, any other questions? If not, we'll see you next month. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mesa has a
I'm sorry.
question.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
On the fire lane,
Yes,
is that supposed to be open at all times just in case of an emergency?
That is correct, sir, and we'll actually, as part of our process, be addressing a fence that would separate the fire lane from the student, particularly on that southwest side of the property where there's a playground, make sure the kids don't get into the fire lane. Where we're able to save money is we don't have to cut down as much as we originally looked at to install the subgrade and get it rolled before we put the temporary or the permanent material on top.
But Ms. Mesa, it actually will be gated.
Okay.
Fire lane will be gated, and we're working a plan out with the fire marshal on providing some type of access. If not, we'll just cut the lot.
Okay, because I know parents usually park on that side. You know, we don't have a whole lot of space for parking, so parents park on that side where I see, that fire lane going in. And so there would have to be signage that.
It'll also have to be striped because we're adding a new fire hydrant at that location. That's part of the cost of the project too. And obviously, from ordinance, they would not be allowed to park in front of the hydrant, which would be immediately close to the exit gates for the drive. Good question.
But we'll be working with the fire marshal to allow as much access as possible.
I just, there would have to be some signs put up that no
Yes, sir.
parking in that area because currently it's being used.
Definitely, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Other questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Agenda item 9B, attendance report. Dr. Garza.
Again, the attendance report is in the board packet. Dr. Garza is prepared to go through it. We did show increases from last month. However, as compared to last year, we weren't as high as last year, but did show improvement. So whatever the board wishes, sir.
Questions on the attendance report? Discussion? Okay. That brings us to agenda item 10, consent agenda, which you'll notice in your packet has a number of items. It goes on a couple pages. Does any board member wish to pull any items from the consent agenda for discussion? Mr. Mesa, what would you?
It's G1 and G3.
G1 and G3. Anyone else want an item pulled for discussion? Okay, I'm going to pull F5 for discussion. So we'll start with, Mr. Mesa had mentioned G1, which is consideration, yes. F5 is the one I'm going to. We'll start with Mr. Mesa's request. G1, consideration to approve the contract with Weaver Technologies LLC in the amount of $22,400 for services to the District System Center Configuration Manager. Mr. Casillas?
Hello, Mr. Mesa. Hi, how you doing? The reason I was wanting to pull this one out because last month we had another contract with Weaver, and I'm thinking, do we not have the personnel to do the technology that needs to be done?
Each of the different contracts that we have had require different types of engineers. In this particular case, it requires somebody to configure, which is the SECM, the System Center, that was last done about 10 years ago when we had one particular model of computer. We've added since then a whole bunch of different models, computers, different laptops. We've added 1,600 Kuno tablets with Android operating systems. We've added the laptops at the freshmen. We've added, we're fixing to add about 2,200 of the tablets at the high school for the one-to-one initiative. So being able to manage these different types of operating systems requires an engineering type of configuration that we just don't have with our personnel. We have people that can maintain it. We have people that can actually push out the updates, the Windows, like what we did with your laptops just recently, and we had to do it manually. And what we're wanting to do with Mr. Weaver is to come and set up the configuration to where we can just have them on the network and be able to push out the updates periodically. And that's what this is all about.
So this is our previous technology director?
Yes, sir. That was here, and the last time he did it, he set it up was 10 years ago. And since then, we've added, probably several thousand different devices. What the system does, it adds it to our inventory. It captures all the configurations, and then we are able to detect all the different operating systems and devices that are on our network, and we can manage them. We can push out updates, Windows, patches, whatever needs to be done. Also with the, it will also help us to manage the different iPads and iPods that are in use throughout the district, where they want to purchase applications and so on.
So we have no one in-house?
No, sir. I wish we did, but
What
it's
about
very expensive.
I noticed one contract last month. I wish I would have brought my agenda, but there was another contract last month with Weaver.
We can pull it up on the screen, the agendas from the previous month.
I can't recall what it was, but I remember seeing one. I guess what I'm just thinking is, if we're gonna have to do this, anytime we change or purchase some new.
It's from the minutes from last month.
If you look at, it's on page 19.
The previous agenda?
From the,
In the, you're okay, Mr. Casillas. For
From
the
the
board
minutes.
members, in the minutes on page 19, it references the contract with Weaver Technologies. I guess that was April 21st, correct?
Yes, sir.
Actually, I have but, okay, I just noticed a discrepancy. That's, the minutes say Weaver Technologies Incorporated, this says Weaver Technologies LLC. We're talking about the same company, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's just a typo, because you cannot be both.
No, it's the same.
LLC. Yeah, we'll see in your minutes, it's Weaver Incorporated. Okay. Yeah, okay, the reference that Mr. Mess is making is on page 19, number 4, for those of you who are following along.
Yeah, this one stipulates that it's to provide upgrade and installation of current and new CTE media program, Apple Labs, providing training for CTE computer technician.
Yes.
So,
The Mac Labs is a totally different picture than what we have, and it required somebody that was familiar with Mac systems, that could configure it the way that that particular course required it, and the CTE department requested some assistance, which Mr. Weaver has really good consultants that actually came, set up the Mac Lab, got it running, and now we're fixing to finish up the configuration of the Mac Lab at the freshman campus under the same contract.
and these monies for these contracts, is that from the E-rate?
No, sir.
No.
That's general fund that we have in our technology budget.
Mrs. Lozano has a question.
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Casillas,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have any idea how much we've paid Weaver Technologies since he's left the district?
No, I don't.
That actually,
Could we look into that,
Yeah.
Dr. Rios? Because maybe we need to hire someone with his expertise. And I'm sure they're very hard to come by. And then the other thing too is, just lost my train of thought. Okay, I forgot.
Oh, I would love to have a systems engineer on staff, but it's kind of like an architect. You know, you hire an architect for a particular project, and then you're not building anymore. So once they build your schools, and what you have to do is maintain it and support it. So it's kind of what you're doing with the projects, and when we have complicated technological projects, then we go out and seek the best qualified consultant that we know, and so they come, they set it up for us. We might not need his services for something like that for another 5 years or 6 years. Whereas if we hire a systems engineer that's on staff, oh, I could find something to do, that's for sure, for them, but they're very, very expensive.
And then the other thing too is, we don't, I mean, I understand these are all less than 25,000, but there's not an RFP process, so that he basically gets all of our business without looking to see if there might be other qualified people.
We could do that, and I make sure that we follow the contracting policies with our purchasing agent. And basically, when you contract a consultant, it's kind of like contracting a teacher, you know. This is the person that has the best value with the experience, that knows our system and our network, and gives us what we think is the right training and the right consulting that we require.
Thank you, sir. That was the question that I forgot.
Good.
yeah, in fact, it was Thursday, right, Ms. Haynes?
Yes,
At the Finance Committee meeting, Ms. Haynes and I had asked basically the same question. We were interested in knowing how much we're spending as a district on this consultant, Weaver Technologies, as opposed to hiring somebody. So the request is for a number of years. Was it clear how many years, like how much is being spent over a certain period of time? Is that what we're
I know,
asking
I've
for?
been here 4 years and he was gone by the time I got here.
And pretty much that's my concern. The reason for the questions is, you know, if we're having to hire him back for certain things, you know, is it to our benefit that, you know, we get someone with those expertise?
It would be nice, but our network is very complicated, We've done a lot of enhancements to it, and each time that we add a new feature to it, like with the Dell devices that we're adding, we just keep growing and growing and growing, and so it requires different skill set. And to have that skill set on in-house, believe me, I would love to have somebody with that skill set to come to Del Rio, as it was when we posted the vacancies for a systems engineer. It took quite a bit of doing to find somebody with those qualifications to want to come to Del Rio and move their families and be here. So the fact that we have some local systems administrators and network managers gives us a lot of credit and credibility. But when we have special projects like what we have here, it's kind of like what you do with architects. You know, you get the best architects, you get somebody to come and design your buildings, and then once they leave it for you, then we have the people here to maintain it and support it.
Let me ask you another question, trying to clarify what I think we're asking for. In the last, let's say in the last 3 years, the amount of contracting with either Weaver Technologies or another contractor for these types of upgrades has been fairly steady? Has it been pretty much the same, say, 3 years ago and then this year or last year? Or has there been a lot of upgrades recently?
Well, the last time that they came and did a major project was when we did the VDI project, which was the virtual, when we brought in the terminals, when we upgraded the Network Operations Center. That was the last time, maybe about 5 years ago. And then they came 2 summers ago to help us to revamp and to do that. Yeah. So.
Okay, and so moving forward, like over the next 2 years, say into 2016, the expectation is that the upgrades that have been going on for the last several years will continue to the same amount?
Well, the expectation is that if we have, I think we presented to you a 5-year technology plan. Pretty much with what we're doing with the system center will keep us going for the next few years. There might be some areas that might require some more consulting, some more specialization, but I think that, we're pretty good. But it's pretty steady.
So, Board, I think what you want to know is the cost of an in-house person to do that type of work, right, as compared to the cost that's been spent for several years? Is that what y'all were asking?
Global contract.
Yeah, I think
That
what
we
we're
can-
asking is how much we spent.
Just want to clarify something. I've worked with Mr. Weaver both here in Del Rio, and I contracted with him when I was in another school district. But I want to be clear that the work that Mr. Weaver does for the district, many times he's not doing it himself. And it's not that I want to, I'm certainly not lowballing the man, but he has a team of people that do the work. So to say that Mr. Weaver himself has those expertise, well, he doesn't, but he has the network that either work directly with him or he can reach out. So if we were to talk about hiring someone to do all that work, I think that such a creature doesn't exist. That they could guide some of the work, possibly, but Mr. Weaver himself doesn't do all the work. He subcontracts or he brings other people in. The other thing I'll say about Mr. Weaver is that he was a big loss to the district, but people with his expertise don't go and hire out to an individual district because they make tenfold what they're making as chief technology officers. Now, we'll certainly provide the information of how much we have paid to that particular company, as many years as our records will indicate, and we'll come up with also a proposal of how much we would use him going forward and share that with the board up front at the beginning of the year so that everybody has clarity as to how much our budget would cost with Weaver Technologies, and we've already discussed that in our cabinet meetings before. Is that everything important? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
What was the next one that you had pulled, Mr. Mesa?
They're the same.
The same, right? You did G1, G3. I just have a quick question
And I can't recall ever that being brought up.
Okay, so the student population of the district has been virtually unchanged over 15 years. If you go back to like the late 90s, it's hovering around 10,000. It's 10 and a half now. We've had significant construction during that time, right, building schools, et cetera. But we're going to bring in, okay. All right. Yes, sir.
I just want to address it for the board and the community. We're currently experiencing some overcrowding in some schools. And I could very easily make a recommendation in conjunction with the cabinet as to where to build the wing of schools. However, any type of building that we put up at one of our elementaries is going to cause us to shift the boundaries. Because if we build it to the north, it's going to push the enrollment of the students at the elementaries to the south. And how far south? It'll probably go to the middle of our attendance zone. But if we build it in the south, then it's going to address that part of the population. And I feel more comfortable having a demographer give some insight as well as some additional recommendations for the board to consider, because it's going to be a building for years to come. And we may not get another chance to address it. Therefore, I'd rather we do it the right way with as much data as possible.
Okay. I'm very much like the idea of using a demographer. That's why I was wondering why it was before to inform the decision. Okay. That's it. If there's no more discussion on any of those items, is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? Mrs. Lozano has motion. Ms. Haynes has second. All in favor by a show of hands. Unanimous. Motion carries. Before we move on to agenda item 11, as is the custom, there was a list of donations. Does any board member wish to read the donation list?
Following donations, the American Welding Society, Houston section, $1,500 to Delro High School Metal Trades. First in Texas, $300 to Delro Middle School Robotics. Goldbeck Panoramic, $229 to Delro High School Senior Class. Jesus Limon, $37.56 to Delro High School Boys and Girls Track. The Ladies Auxiliary VFW, $1,000 to North Heights Elementary. Life Touch to the following campuses in the following amounts: $1,583.80 to Irene Cardwell Elementary, $75.15 to Delro Middle School, $892.79 to Dr. Fermin Calderon, $1,438.55 to Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary, $764.66 to Lamar, $1,743.27 to North Heights Elementary, $696.03 to Ruben Chavita Elementary. Ricardo Torres, $37.56 to Delro High School Boys and Girls Track. Texas Community Bank, $50 to Delro High School. The Bank and Trust, $200 to North Heights Elementary. And from the spot to the following schools in the following amounts: $232 to Dr. Lonnie Green, $186 to North Heights Elementary, $226 to North Heights Elementary Student Council, $196 to Ruben Chavita Elementary, $64 to San Felipe Memorial Middle School Robotics, and non-monetary donation from Monica Ramos, a live oak tree for the 4th annual tree planting valued at $25, Delro High School Eco Action and FCCLA.
Okay, thank you. And as always, thank you to all those individuals and groups that donated to the district's students. Okay, that brings us to agenda item 11, citizens to be heard. And we do have a couple of people who have signed up. So, as is the custom, if the board will give me a moment to read for the board and for those in attendance the guidelines about public comments. The Board of Trustees Trustees encourages comments from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so at this time. The Board of Trustees asks that comments pertain to public education issues and be no longer than 3 minutes. Please remember that the Board of Trustees may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda for tonight's meeting. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the Board of Trustees will defer discussion until the appropriate time during the meeting. Complaints by students or their parents may be heard in accordance with policies FNG Legal and FNG Local. For employees, complaints are heard in accordance with policies DGBA Legal and DGBA Local. Citizen complaints are heard in accordance with policy GF Local. All should follow the chain of command. If a resolution cannot be achieved administratively, the person may appeal the administrative decision to the Board of Trustees as a properly posted agenda item. Okay. In the order that they were given to me, first person is Mr. John Wardlaw. Welcome, Mr. Wardlaw.
Thank you, Mr. Gerby. I'm John Wardlaw, teacher at the Dare High School Social Studies Department, and I'm here representing all the social studies teachers from the freshman school through the high school. And I would like to congratulate you on your election of the canvassing of the ballots and talking about the precincts. That was social studies in action, including geography. And I'm here to ask you for your consideration in making world geography a local requirement and not just an elected. So many reasons, I have many reasons listed there. I don't need to read the whole thing to you. That's for your consideration later on when you have a chance to go over it as an agenda item. But success on the 11th grade U.S. History EOC depends on an academically mature student with knowledge and skills from 9th grade world geography as well as 10th grade world history courses. Social studies teach for world geography and world history. Both have geography and cultural component. And you go through there and it's listed there, category 1 and category 2. A total of 12 questions pertaining to geography can be excluded from the U.S. History EOC test. World geography and world history complement each other, develop critical thinking, vocabulary, reading, writing skills, better prepare students for EOC tests and life in general. Requiring students to have 4 social studies credits maintains a very rigorous high school curriculum. 4 years of social studies provides students the opportunity to be well-rounded with their knowledge and become world-class citizens. The verbal portion, I think this is very important, of the new SAT that students will face in the spring of 2016 relies entirely on close and deep reading of nonfiction passages, mostly from social studies with some science, including primary sources, secondary sources, statistical, and figurative data. The philosophy of the SAT test for students on skills, basic knowledge should have learned in high school. I don't like this part, but I don't like comparing us to other schools because we're pretty unique here. But we get it thrown at us as teachers all the time, you know, that Eagle Pass is doing this, or Uvalde's scoring this, or Laredo's done this. But most of the schools in our district, region, and border have elected to, at least in the near term, keep world geography as a local requirement for graduation, not as an elective course. We would like to give our students the best foundation possible, and the geography, or the vocabulary they pick up in geography and the knowledge they pick up, if they don't get that, could and would, I believe, put them at a disadvantage to other students that have those classes. It goes there, I realize that it's House Bill 5 that's done away with the requirement. But House Bill 5 also gives us the right to have it as a local requirement. As a local requirement just for Texas, for Darrell, Texas. And right now today at the freshman school, we're looking at about a 90% passing rate for those freshmen first-time geography takers. So it is a class with a high success rate. If you take it, if it leaves there, if we lose that class for whatever reason, and we replace it with another period, it's going to be very doubtful we'll have one with 90% passing. That's a class that the students can be successful in, plus gain vocabulary, critical thinking skills, and other knowledge that keeps it and maintain continuity from 7th grade all the way through graduation with social studies. And we've seen tonight in this meeting how important social studies is to any endeavor that we go into. Social studies, we can't get away from it. Just turn on the news. In reflecting upon the course of world geography, the obvious question arises, what the course does that others do not. The simplest answer is world geography studies the why of where. It's a shorthand way of saying that our course fosters a geographic curiosity which is grounded by an enduring interest in the patterns of human and natural phenomena. The interaction of both, and they are manifested in particular locations, environments, and places. As history studies time, world geography studies place. World geography endeavors to observe space, place, and environment on scales from the local to the global. Geography is a multifaceted discipline that bridges the social sciences, the humanities, and physical sciences. In world geography, we can touch on, it's very easy to touch on economics. So you can expose freshman students to some basic economics, basic government, history of any kind, plus their geography. Those EOC tests do have some economics and government questions on there, base questions on there, that they don't get until they take economics or government their senior year if they don't have this geography class. I'm afraid of what not having that class is going to do to our EOC scores, personally. I just wanted to point out to you, the board members, that geography is not just coloring math. It's much larger than coloring math. There's a lot more that they can extrude from a geography class, particularly vocabulary. And that's all I have to say on the subject. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the handout.
It's just homework.
The next individual is Miguel de Hoyos.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. My name is Miguel de Hoyos, and I'm a sophomore at DRHS. I'm representing the McNair, and I would like to address the phone policy at SFDRCISD. At this moment, I would like to pass out the proposal and data gathered, which I will be soon reading. Del Rio High School students believe that in these past years, cellular devices have become more than just a part of our daily life. They have become our alarm clocks, our watches, and in general the tools we need all the time. We depend on them in our daily life, and not being able to use our phones during school hours limits our accessibility to those tools. Nowadays, it is much easier to take out a phone and quickly look up information for an assignment we have than to get on the computer and wait for it to load while it logs on and slowly connect to the internet. We also have a much easier way of communicating with our parents if we need something without disturbing the class to use the phone in the front. The students of Del Rio High School have thoroughly thought of a solution to our phone prohibition that at the same time could benefit our education. We believe that a method to improve school attendance and positive behavior in our campus is to make cellular device usage a privilege. The words phone usage shouldn't be held with a negative connotation, but instead should be seen as an opportunity. Teens all like the idea of having and using a phone in their daily life. A majority wouldn't mind working a bit harder to be able to do so. We students see this as a potential new incentive to our generation. Such privileges could be earned by not being absent more than so many days, for keeping a certain grade or higher in each class, and not misbehaving. So we students benefit personally from having the ability to use our phones. We would also benefit educationally, since we would have to work harder to earn that privilege. A possible way to differentiate the ones who have the privilege from those who don't would be by wearing a necklace or a wristband, stating that the user and only that user deserves to use his or her phone. This permission would be only valid if given student has finished their daily work for that class, whoever's in charge of teaching has completed the lecture for that day, given student is in the hallways going to class, and given student is on his free time during lunch. The students of Del Rio High School believe firmly that phones aren't the enemy, but if used right, can be the solution to many problems. We understand that this is something different and the outcome could come out in many ways, but we ask for the benefit of the doubt and would like to show you how this could be the answer to the problems. Students deserve a chance to demonstrate that they can be mature. The usage of these sedative devices can benefit us emotionally, such as not feeling too stressed knowing you have more liberty, and educationally, since it will make us want to achieve bigger in order to keep the phone privilege. We will all agree that phones shouldn't be used in any moment that could affect our learning, but instead during our free time. We humbly ask that you please review our idea and keep an open mind to understand ours. There was a survey conducted at the school, and 200 students were asked some questions. The first one being what gender they were. 124 of them were females, and 76 were males. What grade they were in? 6 freshmen, 105 sophomores, 57 juniors, and 32 seniors. The class ranks, 58 in the first 100, 47 in the next 200, 31 from 200 to 299, 11 from 300 to 399, and 53 didn't know. 194 of them said they owned a phone. 191 of them said that they brought it to school. 189 of them said that they send text messages during school. They were asked when specifically they were using it, and one of them said before a lecture. 137 of them said during a class. 8 uses them after a lecture, 6 in the hallways, and 37 during lunch. They were asked if they have ever cheated using a phone, and 44 honestly said yes, and 148 said no. 199 students said that they believe that phones should be used during their free time, and 1 student said no. The next question was, do you think it could be a disadvantage educationally to use phones during school? 196 of them said no, and 4 said yes. 32 of them make calls during school. 189 send messages. 82 check the news. 178 check the time. 89 check for emails. 168 listen to music. And 141 do other things on their phone. They were asked if this could be a possible incentive to them, meaning that if they were good, like positive behavior, they got good grades, they had low absences and low tardies, they would be able to use their phones. And all of them said that they would try to achieve that. And the last question that they were asked is if a teacher thought something wrong was going on, if they would let them see what was going on. 172 said they wouldn't mind. 8 of them said it didn't matter, and 20 said they wouldn't. Besides this, over 30 teachers were asked their opinions, and many of them also agreed with the incentive, saying it was a good idea and it could also help out with attendance. And some of them did agree this could be a possible thing to do. And besides this, there was over 700 signatures gathered by students for the phone proposal. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board, as you know, we can't discuss it because it's not posted on the agenda. I think very clearly both these handouts are requests for future board consideration at a future meeting, and I certainly am of the mind that they should be. So we'll talk about Carrillos later about future agendas.
I'd just like to make a comment. I personally think that it's very impressive, and I'm very appreciative to our teacher group as well as our student who came up here to share their thoughts and concerns. I really think that we need to have a forum in which we do this on a routine basis.
Again, we can't speak specifically to the items because of the Open Meetings Act, but clearly they say this is the purest form of democracy that still exists, and this was an example of it. So, my opinion is we'll have more discussion on these two topics.
That's more social studies for John here.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 12. Administration. A, proposed Board of Trustees 2014-15 calendar for the evaluation of the superintendent. Dr. Garza, if you could pull that up. I actually had a printout, but I cleaned it up even more, so I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, can you make it as large as possible? I'm going to give the board a copy of this, but what's on the screen is a little cleaner still. So this was like an earlier draft. This is, as you remember last year, we set a calendar. The purpose of the calendar is to stay kind of on track, right, where we are, where we're going. This is very, very similar, as it should be, in terms of a cycle and a process. Now, this is purely proposed. A little while ago, we were talking about, when would be the Tier 2 training, and that was on this calendar. I put it there in May. That's really where the process begins with the workshop, the reviews of firms' vision statement, district goals, the assessment of board and superintendent teams' ability to work together, that sort of thing. And then, very simply from there, not necessarily that there's a new vision and new district goals, they can be reaffirmed. And as you move through the summer, the superintendent works on his performance goals. I would like to distribute some more information regarding the evaluation process. There's lots of research and literature out there, and the continuous improvement model. What you will notice, if you look closely on here, is based on some of the research from TASB Leadership Services, when you follow the commissioner's process, the legal requirement is there's a goal-setting session, there's a formative, there's a summative. Some districts do multiple formative evaluations, and without creating undue burden on administration or the superintendent in terms of reporting, it gives the board and the superintendent more opportunity to kind of inform the process along the way, rather than at a 6-month interval. So on this calendar, I put the first in August, because that kind of takes us through the budget process and the early cycle planning process. The time where his performance goals would be approved is basically the same as it was last year. It's the same time in the calendar. The reaffirmation of the instrument, that way at a point far out from when the summative would take place, the instrument is clearly devised and is known. Some steps along the way as far as evaluation policy, and then in December, another formative. Some districts do them quarterly. I mean, it's for board discussion. It's not necessarily something that has to be acted on tonight. If you want to consider it, bring it back. When did we say there's a budget workshop? When we bring it back? The 29th?
June, right? June 29th?
No, May 29th.
Oh, May 29th, okay.
10 days, we have a budget workshop. This was, Ms. Lozano was looking at the proposal on May of 2015. That is basically the same as what was was on the original calendar. In fact, Dr. Garcia, I don't know if you can pull up both screens, but if you go to the district's homepage, and where it says About Us, we'll hover over that. Superintendent's evaluation on the bottom. Whoops, where'd you go? There you go. And then the calendar. That's the one that we adopted last year, but it is last year's calendar. And then we have worked through the calendar. And scroll all the way down. What Ms. Lozano was pointing out was some of the bottom parts. And you'll notice it's a little different, right? It goes into June because now it's at a different point in the cycle. Basically put, the calendar is the roadmap. And there might be a little variance from it here or there, but without a very clear plan of how you do it, you kind of get lost in the process, or the process doesn't get completed at all. So last year, we adopted the calendar, worked through it. This was my imagination of basically the same calendar with some adjustments, taking into consideration some perception and interest among the board for more dialogue, and that really equates to more formative discussions, with the summative being the final. So, you want to consider it and bring it back in 10 days, or you want to act on it now to adopt it as a calendar that we follow? Mr. Mesa?
I'd like to see it and come back.
Just a comment that, we don't get the AEIS report. Well, now it's changed, it used to be the AEIS report until October sometime. Is that more or less? So, I'd like to wait to see when we get the scores, because we were, during this cycle, we were not able to do that, being that, Dr. Rios is new to the district. But I would like to see, for us to wait.
So you want to keep the calendar for 10 days and make suggested revisions to the scheduling dates?
Right. Because, I'm looking at this in this first formative evaluation. I think I'd like to see the scores before we have.
Well, that's a good point. The formative evaluation doesn't have to be focused on scores. The formative evaluation can be focused on different aspects of the superintendent's performance.
Right. But, again, we do need to do the goal setting and mission statement and vision, revise any of that, but I still feel like, we just did one, which is the summative, and August would be too soon to do, the formative. That's why I would like to wait and see if we can get some scores, and then perhaps after that.
So do you object to multiple formatives, or do you object to the timing of the
Just the timing.
Because the board realizes that multiple formatives is not a novel idea. Right? In fact, according to one of the TASB publications, it talks about formatives, how many, how often. The state only requires one, but many districts choose to do them quarterly. Quarterly is how many months? Every 3 months? 3 months. So we table it, bring it back in 10 days, give you some chance to write on it.
So we'll make a snap decision right now.
There's also, Dr. Garza, would you go to the internet? You can go to whatever internet engine, doesn't matter. And just type in TASB.
Would it be MSN, Mr.?
Well, just Texas Association of School Boards.
Right here?
Yeah.
CISD.
.org.
I don't think we can say psychiatrist.
Okay, hold on.
B is in boy. B is in boy. As in board.
Texas Association of School
There
Boards.
you go.
If you go to the TASB homepage, and under one of the icons, you can find the resources that I'm using as far as the superintendent evaluation process, and there's a model calendar that's suggested for kind of crafting according to your own district's needs. So you can find it all on the TASB website. You'll find that this calendar looks, in terms of the function and the process, is very similar. So that's something you can be looking at over the next week and a half, as you mark up this one. You said the 29th is a workshop, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we have more time to look at it and do the research on TASB and other places. I recommend that we table the item, bringing it back for action at the March 29th workshop. Or, I'm sorry, what is March? May 29th.
May, there we go.
Workshop, yeah. You said June, I said March. May 29th workshop. Is there a motion to accept Mr. Overfelt's motion? Is there a second? A second. All in favor by a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it unanimous? Did you vote? 6, 7. Unanimous. Motion carries. We'll bring it back. March, May.
There we go.
Yeah, March 29th.
Agenda item 13, curriculum and instruction. A, consideration to approve an agreement between Southwest Texas Junior College and San Felipe Del Rio CISD for career and technical education. CTE technical dual credit courses. Dr. Garza and Mr. Gonzalez.
Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. There was a great change, level change in our automotive program through our dual credit offerings. Automotive Tech Dual grade level has changed to 10th and 11th, and the Advanced Auto Tech Dual is now 11th and 12th. This will give an opportunity for students to earn a one-year certificate through the junior college. The technical dual credit course sequence is shown on a separate cover. The advanced courses in automotive and welding for 2014-2015 are shown below. Students were able to actually take the first part of the course, and next year they can actually take the advanced courses, leading to a one-year certificate.
Question? If there's no questions, the recommendation.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the superintendent of schools to sign the agreement with Southwest Texas Junior College as presented.
For the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Mr. Chavita, or Mr. Mesa has motion. Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 13B, consideration to approve memorandum of understanding in accordance with section 642E5 of the Head Start Act. Head Start agencies, grantees are required to enter into a memo of understanding with appropriate local entities. On what the web is presented.
Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. I will present a PowerPoint presentation on the memorandums of understanding or interagency agreements for Head Start. It is one of the Head Start requirements under our performance standards, 1304.41. Some of our MOUs, or memorandums of understanding, are as follow. We have memorandums of understanding with medical agencies, such as Family Care Clinic, Amigo Dentistry, Cadena Pediatrics, Frontera Pediatrics, United Medical Center. They are also part of our ASAC committee, which is our Health Services Advisory Committee. We also provide interagency agreements with the health agencies in the areas of immunization, dental, medical, and family wellness. We also have memorandums of understanding with Colorado State University and Southwest Texas Junior College. Here we have Dr. Keys at the university because all of our students are transported to the university where they interact in science activities or related activities with university personnel. We also have memorandums of understanding with Casa de la Cultura, where our students are also transported for them to give them that cultural awareness activities. We also have memorandums of understanding with the Del Rio Fire and Rescue Department, and this is something that is required by Head Start, so every year we do have a training from the fire department on fire safety. We also have a memorandum of understanding with Laughlin Air Force Base, and they come in and provide either judging of different activities or provide different academic presentations. We also have a memorandum of understanding with Bible Way Christian Academy and Sacred Heart Academy, where they come in and provide or help us host our Kids in Action, which is a fitness activity. We don't have a memorandum of understanding with these individuals. We have contracts. One of them was approved this evening, which was Dr. Nancy Amadei, which is a clinical psychologist. We have Mel Gravely, who provides the governing board trainings for both the school board and the policy council. And we also have a contract with Crystal Flores, who is a nutritionist, and Dr. Karen Barnes from the University of Texas Health Science Center. Here you have Mr. Gravely and our Head Start Policy Council as 45 CFR Part 1 or Part 1305 or 4.50 for the governance training. Here we have the University of Texas Health Science Center. They not only provide training for the parents, but they also come and do individual assessments on our students on writing skills. Some of the agencies also provide not just training to staff, but training to our parents. Some are the psychologists and nutritionists, Avance, BCFS, Region 15, and some you have already seen with the universities as well. You heard about Amigo Dentistry. He is part of our Health Science Committee. He not only provides dental services, but he's also part of our Dr. Seuss, and as you have the little girl saying in there, is this Dr. Seuss or Dr. Hunt? That is Dr. Hunt, and he does come in and provide some extra time, and his staff. Other individuals in the community that we do not have a memorandum of understanding, but also provide services to the Cardwell campus are the community, the Del Rio Police Department, HEB, Walmart, Home Depot, Texas Community Bank, and the Hispanic Bank of Commerce. We also have Coach Smith and the Del Rio High School track team that come in and provide some services to initiate a fitness. In the center, you see over 200 dads that come in to start a fitness program, because we are the models, we are the examples, and so are the families, and that's part of Head Start is family engagement. The bottom picture, you have our staff, because they also participate in the activity as well. And this year we were fortunate enough to have a special guest. Now, another person that we do not have a memorandum of understanding is Hector Cruz. He is a Tai Chi instructor, yoga instructor, personal fitness trainer, and he is an RTR at the hospital. He has come in to provide Tai Chi training for staff as a means of de-stressor, and yoga, which we again share with our students. Another person we do not have a memorandum of understanding was Paulo Padilla. He came in and he did a layout blueprint of our play area. So we are very grateful to him because it was done to scale. And then we're very thankful to our district because what they are doing now is that particular blueprint is now on our playground, as you can see on the bottom section of the blueprint. So thank you, Mr. Salinas, and our staff our school staff for providing that. The students, everything that's on that playground is not just for play. Everything that is on there is related to the Lab 3 testing that our students do. They have to be able to walk in a circular pattern, so you have a circle. They're supposed to walk in an area where there's some sharp objects, so that's the square on there. So we have them in different sections, and everything on there is related to their testing. And then here again, we have you, the governing body. You all play an important role in everything that we do, and we definitely thank you. We have Mr. Chavita, who was addressing part of our policy council and our fatherhood initiative, and this is another program that we have on the campus. Cardwell Head Start plus community agencies equal the MOU section 64 to E5. Are there any questions?
Questions? Doesn't seem like there's any questions, so the recommendation.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the memorandums of understanding in accordance with section 642E5 of the Head Start Act.
For the recommendation, I so move to accept. Is there a second? Mrs. Lozano has second. All in favor by show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 14A, consideration to approve the design development phase of the Del Rio High School Walter Leverman Ram Stadium restroom and concessions, renovations and additions. Mr. Salinas and Mr. Gray.
Mr. Garabedian, members of the board, and Dr. Rios. This time we have Mr. Gray to share with us the site plan, floor plans, and certain elevations of this project that were developed in collaboration with the administration and staff. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gray.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Rios. We've been working on this for about 3 weeks now, and we're getting pretty close. This is an overall site plan of the stadium, and at the top are the 2 additions that we are planning to the men's toilet room, concession area, and the women's toilet room. The tower is in the center there.
These are the new additions right here, both sides of the tower.
This is a floor plan of the women's toilet room. The lower part on there, this area in here is the existing women's toilet room. This is the existing concession that's there now. And the addition is adding onto the back of it, actually towards the student parking area. This would be addition to the women's toilet room, and this is an addition to the concession area. In both respects, we're about doubling the space on each of those. And each one of those areas is about 1,000 square feet, 900 and some odd square feet. And so we're going to end up with about 2,000 square feet on each side, so a total of about 4,000 square feet. The women's toilet room, we're ending up with 13 additional toilets. I think there were 6 existing toilets, and for a total of 19, and we'll end up with 10 lavatories. This is the men's side. It's almost a duplication. The difference is in the concession area. All of the electrical panels for the stadium are on the inside of the concession, so we have a little bit, a little different arrangement there.
Those are located right here. Those are existing panels that we can't do anything about. So that concession area is going to be a little bit smaller because we're going to
We'll have like a cage in front of it. In the men's side, we're ending up with 7 toilets, 13 urinals, and again, 10 lavatories. The addition ends up, we're adding about 14 and a half feet, and the inside is about 12 foot 8 inches on it. The existing restrooms, we're going to almost completely refinish on it. There's a question about changing the fixtures. Most of the fixtures in there are 3 years old or less. They're in pretty good shape on the existing fixtures. The concession area is going to be just completely gutted and redone. But we'll be refinishing floors, walls, and ceilings, and there are new toilet partitions in the existing also. This is a blow-up of the concession area, I guess on the south side or the women's side. The countertop right here, we're going to be air conditioning this space. And so we're going to be putting windows in the area where you walk up to the serving counter. And that's across here. In front of all that, we're going to have a roll-down door that'll pull down and protect the windows from damage. On the women's side, there's basically 4 sides that are open in the existing area. We'll put a work table in the center. We got a list of the equipment that the staff would prefer to have on it, the users, and we've located a lot of that. I think we'll be finalizing the actual locations, getting the information for the electrical requirements on it, and so that we can turn that over to our engineers and they can get started on that. In the additional area back behind there, we've got a table. I think they're planning on doing most of the cooking in the new addition and then serving through a pass-through window, and which is right here. We're going to open that out. There's actually a louver there right now. We're going to take that louver out and use that as a pass-through. We're adding a triple compartment sink, putting in a water heater. We also have a janitor's sink, some middle shelving, and we have 3 lockable cabinets.
And all of that has been from input from staff.
Question. I think there might be other questions before you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna walk up to it because I can't describe it over.
Okay.
Because of the amount of money that we're getting ready to want to put into this. If you go back to the other one there, the south concession stand. Okay. We got the existing concession there, and then we're gonna add this backside to it there. But there's gonna be a window here with a subwall.
It's actually just an opening.
It's gonna be a straight opening here, and then this is an opening as well.
That's an opening there.
There, and this basically kind of becomes a pillar.
Right.
In the middle of it. So my worry is you've got this and this here and then this here. We haven't really expanded any of this. This just becomes kind of glorified storage in the back. I was kind of under the impression that we were hold back wall of the stadium out there, and you would have a complete run there. So is this a structural thing that
It is.
prevents us from doing that?
The existing restrooms are all poured-in-place concrete, and we're even having problems taking out some of those openings because the louvers are set at 6 feet, and we need to clear 6'8". And even when we take those out, we're gonna have to put a structural beam across the top of it to support the roof. But all that is poured-in-place concrete roof.
Rebar and all that fun stuff. So by opening those two there, and by looking at Mr. Salinas and talking with individuals, because I remember working in them, they're cramped and stuff. Is this, the idea is that hopefully it's gonna open flow through all of this there, where it won't be as cramped when we've got all those students
This
working
section
in
here
there?
is being opened up right here.
So we're moving,
That wall is gonna,
existing wall here that we're moving that way?
it's gonna be gone.
Okay.
We're removing that wall and that door where this was a storage area, so that much bigger for this area now.
On that side,
How much?
but smaller on the other side.
It's about 4 feet
About 4
inside.
feet, so we'll gain 4 feet that way? No, I don't wanna talk to you, TV.
How do you close that?
And the entry into the restrooms.
There's one right to the right.
Gonna go to that one that showed the whole thing. If I'm stepping over any of y'all's questions, throw it out there as well. Here, okay. Right now, the existing entry into, say, the women's restroom, there's an entry and an exit right here, right?
Right, those are the two entries.
So they'll be here and here?
That's correct.
Right.
With no external outside the gate or anything like that, right?
No.
So it'll still be the same flow in
Flow out.
and out there, again, because of the
structural
walls.
wall that's holding up the roof.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Lozano has a question.
I just have a comment. The information that was in our packet is not what was presented. I find it difficult to just have it presented here and be asked to make a decision. That's just my 2 cents.
What was in the packet was just the main floor plan.
It wasn't what was presented now. Correct.
I'd be glad to table it and bring it for a vote at the next meeting if we have time to process and ask more questions.
Now, if we table and come back on the 29th there, because that'll be the next one, if it gets put there, you've got, at that point in June, July, 2.5 months before football season starts. And we're, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is,
It'll be hard.
the whole thing, I remember when we did the field, there was a rush to get it done by the time game time, and it was like the Monday before the game. So that's, that same thing I'd be worried about.
Go ahead, Dr. Reyes.
Just want to be clear that in the discussions we've had, there's no way that any of this is going to be ready by football season anyway.
Okay.
All the additions that you see are going to be happening, throughout the year. Now, what they're going to make preparations for is so that all the construction doesn't obstruct the usage of the current activities while all the activities go on. That's why I'm saying there isn't a rush, because there's no way that we're going to finish over the summer. So if the board wishes to take the next 10 days before the meeting, before the next budget workshop, or even until the June meeting, it's not going to be ready by football season anyway. That's certainly not the goal, and we don't have to feel rushed. If the board wishes, we can table it and entertain more questions and where we can provide answers during the board update or even at any one of the special call meetings.
Will that include the next point also?
The next one we're going to
Because
table.
they're up again.
We're going to table the next one, sir.
Okay, both of them?
The second one for sure.
Okay.
I certainly have a question. I mean, it's almost $1 million. It's 3,200 square feet, right? But most of it, I mean, we're talking about these upgrades, like Ms. Lozano says this is different than her packet, so she has questions. Josh is asking similar dimension issues. The board's feelings about tabling the item so we can ask those questions?
I had a question also.
Mr. Mesa has a question.
I had a question, and just wanted to find out, like, let's say the restrooms, will there be any tile on the wall or floors, or? I didn't hear.
No, we did not figure on tile, we figured resealing the floors. It's really a pretty tight budget. There are a lot of fixtures being added. I think just the plumbing was running close to $170,000.
Dr. Rios?
If the board wishes to table it, and I certainly encourage it, we can bring back and discuss possibly two options. One is the direction that we got for the committee is improving the facilities that we had. The concessions were cramped and they needed more space. But the idea was that the restrooms, the toilet rooms, that those were in need of improving. It doesn't necessarily mean adding that much more space. We can have an option where we just consider making it real pretty, classier, and give the board more options to discuss and maybe even ask a couple of committee members that were pushing this subject to weigh in on it. So there's, like I said, if I thought that we need to get this done because they weren't usable by football season, I think we'd be in a different situation, but we're not. So if it's okay, if somebody will make a motion to the table, we'll be okay.
Timeline-wise, it's
not on the
And right now, we're a little bit below the budget anyway, so, yeah, we could add ceramic tile. Sure could.
Okay, then, that said.
I'll make a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Till the next.
Is there another question first?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chavez has a question.
You know, it's all right. I'm concerned with the expansion of the concession. It's really, it's still gonna be the same thing. It's real cramped. Kids you can't hardly put half of those that are usually working there bumping into each other. Is there any way, do we really have to square it up where we couldn't do anything with the concession being further out? Rather than just because it's.
We could on the women's, I don't think we could on the men's because of the transformer and the electrical. There's a transformer
The
there.
feedback that we've gotten is that instead of everyone being here in the front preparing and serving, they're gonna be doing half or whatever number that is normally prepares would be back here.
Well, that's true.
Instead of the front. Right now, everybody's in the front, preparing and serving. And so the cleanup here, the sinks will be there, the deep sinks to do the cleanup of the crock pots, whatever other items they bring in. So that space is actually.
Okay, and the windows, they're gonna be spaced there so that the kids can be right there, serving, because the lines, everybody gets all pushing and try to move from one place to another, that type of thing. Is that gonna avoid it?
Yes, we're hoping it will. We have four openings there for them to slide up the window and serve and then slide it back down because it is going to be air conditioned and heated.
Other questions? Okay, let's revisit. Mr. Overfeld, a motion.
I'd like to motion to table until the June board meeting.
Okay, motion to table to the June regular board meeting. Is there a second? Ms. Lozano?
Oh, just a minute. Just this one here, right? Or
Yes,
you-
sir.
Or the other.
Right now, just this item.
Just for this one here.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Overfeld has made a motion to table this item, which is agenda item 14A, to the June regular board meeting. Is there a second? Mr. Mesa has second. All in favor by show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Unanimous, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to agenda item 14B, consideration to approve design development phase of Del Rio High School / freshman new restroom concession building.
On this item, we went through some revisions and asked the architect architect to go back and do some things different. So we're not ready to present this. So we're also gonna ask that this be tabled to the next board meeting.
Okay, next regular.
Next regular board.
That being said, I so move to table agenda item 14B to the next regular board meeting. Is there a second, Ms. Lozano? A second. All in favor by a show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries. Agenda item 14C, consideration to approve the first reading of revisions to EIF local policy. Mr. Salinas and Dr. Garza presenting.
This is a local policy that TASB is recommending we make changes to as a result of House Bill 5 changing the graduation plan. And those revisions were provided to you under separate cover. Basically, they're adding the foundation program to our local policy along with the endorsement information and distinguished level of achievement information.
Are there questions or discussion? These are first reading only at this time. No? Because if there's no discussion, again, this is a first reading. Recommendation.
The recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of revisions to EIF local policy as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. I so move to accept. Is there a second? Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands. Unanimous. Motion carries. Agenda item 14D, consideration to approve the first reading of update 99 affecting local policies BDD, BP, CFDA, CK, DAC, EHDC, FFF, and FFH. Mr. Salinas?
This is the second of two post-legislative updates. The first one was actually update 98. This is update 99, and it addresses the following topics: district legal counsel, safety programs, graduation, credit by examination, and student discrimination and harassment. In summary, this update has 25 legal policy additions, revisions, or deletions, 8 local policy additions, revisions, or deletions, and 1 exhibit. The specific 8 local policy additions are as follows, or revisions and deletions. BDD local, which is Board Internal Organization. BP local, Administrative Regulations. CFEA local, Payroll Procedures. CK local, Safety Program. DAC local, Employment Objectives. EHDC local, Alternative Methods for Earning Credit. FFF local for Student Welfare. And FFH local, also for Student Welfare. Under separate cover, I provided in your packet the local policy side-by-side comparisons along with the actual update manual and your board member vantage points for your consideration. In addition, I provided you an administrative summary summarizing each of those local policy additions, revisions, or deletions.
Questions? Again, this is also a first reading, so if you come back again, other questions or discussion at this time? Okay, the recommendation?
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of Update 99 and add, revise, or delete local policies BDD, BP, CFEA, CK, DAC, EHDC, FFF, and FFH as recommended by TASB Policy Service and according to the instruction sheet for TASB Localized Policy Manual Update 99 as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. I so move to accept. Is there a second? Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's, are you voting? Okay, Mr. Mess, it's unanimous. All 7 voting in favor.
Thank you very much.
Accept the first reading. Agenda item 15, Business and Finance A, consideration to approve submission of 2014 Summer Food Service Program application. Mr. Hernandez is presenting.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. Nice to see you. 14 days of school left. The countdown has begun. And yes, kids will be out for summer, and kids still need to eat. And so, as you know, y'all are all seasoned board members, professionals, so you know what I'm here for, which is to mandated by the Texas Department of Agriculture and the federal government as well. Since we're a district that operates at 50% or over of free and reduced, we operate the summer feeding program. And we, as we have always done, piggyback it with the summer school sites in order to accommodate our students as well as any child between the age of 1 and 18 from the community who wants to come in and have breakfast or lunch at any of the sites. And we try and work together summer school wise as to make sure that we cover the community as best we can, so no one particular area is left out. As you all are seasoned folks, I think I can cut to the chase and go ahead and make a recommendation unless we have any questions.
Any questions or comments on what was provided, Mr. Nessa?
So I have a question. Is there a reason that some sites have it only till July and others till August?
Well, like I said, we try and operate with the summer school program. And in the past, for example, Garfield, we're operating Garfield through, through July 11th. Because historically, we've had really very poor participation at Garfield. Even though you've got the complex that's right next door, you would think that more folks would come over. But, you've got to be able to meet your expenses and meet your labor since the summer school program is self-funded by participation. So that's why we try and keep the ones with the largest population serving, for example, daycares and churches and whatnot. For example, Del Rio High School will stay open all summer. The same with San Felipe. Even though the campus is not going to be open all summer, we're keeping it open until August to service the Boys Club and the surrounding area over in San Felipe as well. The dates are posted, and for example, Del Rio Middle School, we close right before 4th of July because it's such a hard place to access. Anyway, by walking, we don't want kids walking across 90 to get over there. So we try and focus on where we're going to have the largest amounts of participation. And we look at it on a day-to-day type of basis.
Thanks.
Okay.
Other questions? Recommendation?
All right, so the recommendation, it's a recommendation of the administration that the San Felipe Del Rio CISD School Board of Trustees approve the summer food service program application as presented.
Heard the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Ms. Lozano has motion, Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 16, Human Resources and Student Services A, consideration to approve the revised 2013-2014 district-wide stipend and substitute/part-time temporary pay listings. Dr. McNair, presenting.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. In your packet that was provided to you last Wednesday, there are two documents, one being the district-wide stipend listing and the second one, the substitute pay scale. On page 3 of the district-wide stipends in red, the administration has highlighted the changes that we are asking for your approval this evening based on the Educator Excellence Innovation Program grant that the district was just awarded. And so those changes are as follows. The first one is the critical shortage content areas. Previously, you had approved in August, I believe, a $2,000 signing bonus. Per the grant, we've increased that to $3,000 is the first change. The second change per the grant and the acceptance of the grant was hard-to-staff campus Del Rio Middle School and TA designated Title I priority and focus school campuses, those being listed on your handout as Garfield, North Heights, Calderon, and San Felipe Memorial Middle. The grant provides a $2,000 stipend, or sign-on bonus, sign-on bonus. Additionally, to increase staff retention, the grant provided a $2,000 award for the critical shortage areas for gaining additional certification for our staff, our teachers, in the areas of secondary math and science, bilingual ed, and ESL being at the secondary.
Also provided in the grant is a $500 staff retention award for additional certification for special ed staff in content areas. And those are the changes on the first handout that we'd like you to consider this evening. On the second handout, as it pertains to substitute pay scale, there's just two changes, one being on page 2 at the bottom in red. We did not have listed the $25 amount for in-service for district initiative training. And through reflection, we'd like to include that on page 2. And on page 3, the $12 rate, we'd like to stipulate that by differentiating between the two. One is the additional requirement there in the $12 to say the state required training, to differentiate between district training and state training. So those are the major changes in these two documents, reflected, number 1 by the grant and number 2 by our staff development pay schedule.
Questions or comments about the additions? Mr. Mesa?
Eddie, on the
Yes, sir.
part-time temporary pay,
Yes, sir.
district initiatives, that $25 is per hour, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
And then I guess my other question that I had on the stipends for teachers, let's say, this is for new teachers coming into the district.
Correct.
It's a signing bonus.
Yes, sir.
And so I guess the reason I was asking that is, are we not having enough applicants, let's say for Del Rio Middle School? They just don't want to go, or hard to staff?
It is a hard-to-staff campus as recognized by TA. And the other 4 are recognized as TA designated Title I priority schools. Our largest turnover is at Del Rio Middle School. And that's been pretty much historically.
Ms. Lozano, question.
Dr. McNair, would you please kindly explain how that staff retention stipend would work?
Yes, for additional certification, what we're looking at there is, I'll give you an example, like our math program. Right now, I currently have a couple of our elementary math teachers that are going through our study guide program to be math certified in 4.8. So the goal would be for them to get certified in 4.8 math and then to take on one of those job responsibilities at one of those campuses, 6th grade, 7th, or 8th grade. And in doing that, as a feeder program into the middle school, they would then receive their additional certification because they currently have an EC6 elementary. By gaining the 4.8 math certification and going into a secondary math class, we would give them, for staff retention, we would give them the $2,000 award for taking on a math position. If they also went into Del Rio Middle School, as an example, they would gain an additional $2,000.
On top of that?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
I was gonna say, I mean, so we're
For
not
the
really
sign-on.
doing anything to retain our current teachers.
Well, we're retaining them by them getting additional certifications.
Right, but so do we not have anyone who already has those certifications that we wouldn't
No,
want
and
to give a stipend to retain?
If I may, these stipends only speak to the grant that we wrote.
Right.
Now, during the budget, and I hate to say anything because it's certainly not a promise, but during the budget process, we've already discussed how we would like to increase stipends that we are already giving.
Correct.
That's going to come in the budget that we're going to discuss. This is only to address what we wrote in the grant and was approved for funding in the grant part.
Right.
But we need to still still follow policy and have y'all approve the extra money that we're paying. We are gonna address these other questions through the regular budget process.
That make that, yes.
And this is help,
That makes a
yes.
lot of sense, yes.
And this is helping right now through the recruitment process for the summer recruitment.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
Yes. You're welcome.
Other questions? The recommendation?
Yes, sir. The recommendation of the administration is that the revised 2013-14 stipend listings be approved as presented this evening.
Heard the recommendation, I so move to accept. Is there a second? Ms. Lozano has second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next item, 16B, consideration to approve new position, job description / evaluation forms, and the revised administrative job classification listing to include Director of Human Resources. Dr. Patty is
Yes. Mr. Garabedian, members of the board, and Dr. Rios, in your packet, there were 3 documents. The first one was the TASB job classification for administrative staff, and you'll notice on pay grade 7A, Director of Human Resources is placed in there in red as an additional position. Additionally, the second and the third document would be the Director of Human Resources evaluation as well as job description. This is considered a new position, be locally funded, for your consideration this evening, and Dr. Rios, you may want to add something.
President, what I want the board members to know is that we're asking approval for the job description. That doesn't necessarily mean that the job is going to be filled, but in looking at the services that we have to provide for the district in the year to come, we want to be prepared, because if we were to go this route to provide some assistance to this department, because they've taken on the additional duties, student services under them, and with all the initiatives that we're doing, we need to be prepared. Because if we were to go this route, then I'd have to wait 1 month to bring it to get approved, and then another month before we post and we hire for this position. So it's just about being ready. It in no way indicates that we're going to hire this. As I shared the FAST report with y'all, it clearly indicated that we were a little bit high on directors and coordinators. So we have to be careful with that, and we're going to fully assess it. I want to make clear, we're just being prepared in case we were to go this route.
questions? Discussion? Ms. Lozano?
I just have one question. That's not really a question, it's a comment. Under the qualifications, might you also want to consider someone who has a degree in human resources? And/or just a thought. Just a thought.
Other questions?
I need to respond. I think that we can consider someone who has a degree in human resources, but then we would go in a different direction, and not necessarily have someone with a background in education, because it would be very difficult to have someone with a human resource degree who's working in education, who has a teaching certificate, who has the administrator certificate. We could say preferred, to encourage somebody who has that type of degree, but I just want to be clear that I think that if we were to look at all our teaching staff right now who has a degree in human resources plus the other experience, it'd be almost impossible to find. Yeah, pretty much.
And if I may, and the state looks at budgeting as part of it, that's why that principles for human resource makes a lot of sense. But the budgeting aspect takes over, so that's what the state looks at. They want to make sure if you're gonna be here with a big budget, with all the salaries and all that, you better be trained in this area and certified here. It's crazy, but that's the way Texas works.
Just for the clarification, the way the should you approve it tonight, we will add degree in human resources preferred but not required. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good idea.
Other questions, comments? Got a recommendation?
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of the administration that the Director of Human Resources, the new position, the job description as revised accordingly, to add the HR degree preferred, and the evaluation form and the revised administrative classification list, and be approved as presented this evening.
Heard the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Mr. Tavita has motioned, is there a second? Mr. Overfelt is second, all in favor by a show of hands? 6, all opposed? Okay,
And basically, just for the fast report.
6 in favor, no opposed, abstentions, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Mr. Messick. Thank you. Okay. Okay, it is now 9:30 p.m., May 19th, 2014. And the Board of Trustees will recess this open session and convene the closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D and E. We're able to do that under 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.084. Specifically, tonight, pursuant to 551.072, deliberation regarding real property. Number 1, discussion of selling the old Garfield Elementary South Side. And B, pursuant to 551.074, discussion of personnel to hear complaints against personnel. 1, discussion of personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, resignations. 2, discussion of salary adjustments to include the following justifications: service credit, instructional aides. Adoption of resolution to be in full compliance with 19 TAC 153.1021M for current and former teacher aides. And 3, discussion of approval of early literacy coordinator. 4, discussion of approval of construction manager. And 5, discussion of approval of athletic director. All final votes, actions, or decisions will be taken in open session. We're now in closed session. Okay, it's now 10:51 p.m., May 19th, 2014. And the Board of Trustees will now reconvene in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D and E. No action was taken in closed session. Now that we're reconvened into open session, that brings us to agenda item 19A, consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, resignations. Dr. McNair presenting.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, members of the board, and Dr. Rios. At this time, the administration recommends the following as new employees in our district: Ms. Lori Candela, 5th grade teacher, North Heights Elementary. Ms. Deanna Segovia, 4th grade bilingual teacher at Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary School. Ms. Joanne DeWitt, 1st grade teacher, Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary School. Ms. Marlene Hinojosa, 1st grade teacher, Buena Vista Elementary School. Ms. Adriana Vasquez, 2nd grade teacher at Lamar Elementary. Mr. Jesus Hernandez, music teacher at Lamar Elementary School. Ms. Katrina Bozo, mathematics teacher at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Ms. Sarah Martinez, English Language Arts teacher at Del Rio Freshman. Ms. Carla Pohl, science physics teacher at Del Rio High School. We'd also like to recommend Ms. Sandra Garza, librarian, Lamar Elementary. Ms. Amy Uranga, counselor at San Felipe Memorial Middle. Additionally, we'd like to make the following recommendations as well. Ms. Laura Martinez, third grade teacher at Lamar Elementary. Ms. Pamela Ochello, fourth grade teacher at Garfield Elementary. Ms. Natalie Ochoa, English Language Arts teacher at Del Rio Middle. Mr. Jeffrey Engel, math teacher at Del Rio Freshman. And Lieutenant Colonel Roland Atkins for Air Force Junior ROTC Commander at Del Rio High School.
Heard the recommendations, is there a motion to accept? Mr. Mesa has motion, Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Agenda item 19B, consideration to approve salary adjustments to include the following justifications: service credit, instructional aids, adoption of resolution to be in full compliance with Title 19 of the Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 153.1021M for current and former teacher aides. Dr. McNair or Dr. Rios, I believe. Dr. Rios?
Mr. Mayor, reading members of the board, is a recommendation of the administration to adopt the resolution as discussed in closed session to be in full compliance with Chapter 19 of the Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 153.1021M, for current and former teacher aides, as discussed in closed session.
Further recommendation, Mr. Mesa has motion to accept, Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor, by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries. Agenda item 19C, consideration to approve early literacy coordinator, Dr. Patty McNair.
Yes, sir. Mr. Garabedian, members of the board, Dr. Rios. The administration proudly recommends Ms. Marta Galindo for the early literacy curriculum coordinator in our district.
Further recommendation, I so move to accept. Is there a second? Ms. Haynes, a second. Mr. Overfelt, a second. All in favor, by a show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Agenda item 19D, consideration to approve construction manager. The recommendation from administration is that's tabled at this time. Is there a motion to accept? Mr. Overfelt has accepted the motion to table. Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor, by a show of hands? Unanimous. It's tabled. 19A, consideration to approve athletic director, Dr. Patty McNair presenting.
Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. The administration proudly recommends Mr. Rick Smith as our new athletic director for the San Felipe Del Rio CISD.
Further recommendation, is there a motion to accept? So moved. Mr. Chavita has motion, Mr. Mesa has second. All in favor, by a show of hands? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Agenda item 19F, consideration to approve selling the old Garfield South site. You want to just kind of recap where we are and then see if the board has any recommendations?
The property of Garfield South was appraised by an agency out of San Antonio. The market value was at $525,000. Since then, we have received two separate offers from the county. The latest offer was at $200,000, which is well below the appraised market value. It is, just to be clear with the board and the community, it's not costing us any money to maintain the property other than the insurance we're paying on it. I don't have any further comments other than that, unless there's specific questions.
I think that's clear. The property has been appraised at $525,000. This latest offer is $200,000. We know of no substantial cost to maintaining and keeping the building. So, with that said, does any board member have a recommendation, wish to make a motion?
Recommend, I'm sorry, at least 75% of the fair market value would be a good price.
Anyone else have comments, or Mr. Mesa?
I just want to say that perhaps, they can bid a little bit higher and we can take a look at it and, but I agree with Dr. Keys that, you know, the appraised value is a lot more than what we're being offered. It needs to be more in line.
Any other comments?
I just feel the same way. I think we ought to wait and work with it. Get our superintendent to sit with them and see what they're gonna, what other offer they got.
Anything else to say? Okay. Any motion to any effect? Don't believe so. Okay, there's no motion, no action on this item. Brings us to nothing under 20, superintendent's report. 21, adjournment. No further business before this board. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Overfelt has motioned. Is there a second? Mr. Mesa, second. All in favor by a show of hands? Unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you.